Looks like the Brady Bunch with all the squares.
Marcia.
Okay, we are live on YouTube.
All right. Colby, we need a start time and then I'll take roll.
Yes, we'll start the meeting at 7:07 p.m. There we go. Here you are. Okay, we will come to order. Meeting 7:07 p.m. Let's do roll call.
All right. Colby Jensen,
I'm here.
Catherine Hatton,
Here.
Arthur Whipslack.
Here.
I'm here. Robin Allen, Nick Baker,
Here.
Ren Blight,
Here.
Freddie Barry,
Here.
Matt Kamen,
Here.
Lee Jamison.
Let me make sure,
Lee.
He's muted.
let me make sure he's asked to unmute him. Lee, you have to unmute your mic. All right, let's come back to Lee.
Okay. Susanna Hayes, I believe, is excused. She's out of the country. Paige,
Here.
Tess,
Here.
Kevin,
Let me check one more time on attendees.
Yeah, he's got his hand raised. He's on the attendee list.
There
is
he
he?
is. Yeah, I see him. Great.
Fantastic.
Promote him to panelist.
Excellent.
Good.
Welcome, Kevin. And Sean.
Here.
Great. All accounted for.
Back to Lee. I don't think he spoke up, but he was on earlier.
Oh, yeah. Lee, are you there?
All right, he'll probably pop on. Let's just leave that blank for now, and I'm sure he'll
All
pop.
right.
Okay, we have, again, like I said before, a very busy evening. We approved the motion A, approved GTLNC July 20th, 21 General Board minutes. Do I have a first?
First. Sean.
Who's that?
Thank you,
Sean.
Sean.
Nick second.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion on that matter?
Yeah, I have a couple changes to request.
Okay,
Several of the vote totals seem to include the people who weren't present in the voting total in the space that's usually for abstentions. So instead of it being like 10-0-0, it's for the second two motions.
so like I'm looking at,
It's 10-1-3, but it should be 10-1-0.
is this on, which vote is this? I'm looking at the agenda, at the minutes right now.
So the first one is fine, but the second one,
Can you tell me which motion, Catherine?
motion B,
Motion B?
yeah. It says 10-1-3, but it's actually 10-0-1 because there were 3 people who weren't present for the vote, so they shouldn't be counted as anything in that vote count on the right. And then the next one is the same issue where there's 10-0-4, but 3 of those people just weren't at the meeting, so they weren't voting. Same with motion D.
Okay, so again, the first one was motion B. 10-0-1 is what you're saying is the correct count.
Yes.
And then 10-0-4 is which motion?
Motion C says 10-0-4.
Okay, and what should it be?
I think it should be 10-0-0 because Lee was ineligible to vote.
Okay,
So he didn't abstain, he just wasn't voting. And then motion D, I think should be 9-0-1.
okay. And you're just saying that the counts are off because we counted.
Yeah, you were counting people that weren't at the meeting in the vote count. But they don't count as yes, no, or abstain because they just weren't at the meeting.
Okay. And do you know who on that list was not at the meeting?
Yes, Matt, Kevin, and Susanna, and they're all listed, like the actual listing of the votes is correct. Like the yeses, or as far as I know, is correct as far as yeses, noes, abstentions, excused. But then the total on the right side is off.
Okay, I can fix that.
Yeah, and then also in the
So we do,
section where we're discussing committee chairs, it says that Tess, Lee, and Fred all wanted to join governmental as committee members, but they were requesting to join Plum as committee members.
Okay, Tess, Lee, and Fred wanted to join GAC, is what you said?
Well,
No.
that's what it says in the minutes, but they were all requesting to join Plum.
Planning and land use.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
All right.
those would be the changes I request that we make.
okay. Sean, are you comfortable with those changes?
I am. Yeah, that's fine.
Nick, are you as well?
That's fine.
Okay, so we'll read motion A again. Motion A, approve the GTLNC July 20th, 2021 General Board Minutes as amended. Is there any other discussion on this? Okay, let's go ahead and take a vote. Catherine,
Yes.
Arthur,
Yes.
Robin, yes. Nick,
Yes.
Ren,
Yes.
Fred,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Lee. Lee,
Yeah, do you read me?
yes, and thank you for being here.
Well, it's not me, it's a computer. I hate computers.
That's
Anyhow,
okay. We're so happy to have you, Lee.
thank you.
Mitch.
I'm voting that we keep the golf course like it was. We want a community impact statement. I've been playing with this computer the whole time, so I hope that's what it was.
We'll get to her, Lee.
Lee, we're in the middle of a vote. We'll get to that, I promise.
10-4, thanks.
Okay, Paige,
Yes.
Tess,
I approve the minutes with the changes. Thank you.
great. Kevin,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
and Colby.
Yes, for me.
So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 0, 0.
May I ask a question on procedure?
Correct? Yes?
Robin, when you send the board agenda, can you send the meeting minutes as well? Are they typically available then or not?
Okay, say that one more time.
Okay, when you emailed all the board members the agenda last Friday, for which I thank you.
Yep.
Are you able to send the minutes at the same time?
I did send the minutes and I sent them any documents. And FYI, guys, this is all on the website. I do this as a courtesy.
Okay.
So if I don't do this ever, it's on the website and you have all that stuff available, but I did send all that test. Did you not see it in the?
No, I'm asking because all I got was the agenda itself, not the meeting minutes.
Okay, then just to clarify, so I sent two emails. The
Okay.
first one had all of those documents, but when I went back to review, I realized that I didn't number the motions correctly or letter the motions correctly. So you got one agenda for the general board in a separate email with the proper lettering, which is why you only got one document. So if you go back and look at the one from Friday and then the one from, I think it was Saturday. So yes, I sent two emails. One of them had all the documents, but the lettering was not correct.
Okay.
Okay,
Just to be clear.
yes,
So when you send out the agenda, you also send out the minutes, correct?
I always tried to get
Okay.
everything
Right.
to all of you. Yes.
That's appreciated. And just for the record, I only got the agenda. I know how to find the minutes, but I was just checking. That's all. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you, Robin. We're going to move forward. Busy night tonight. As we move into public open forum, we are asking if at least two, I believe one or two youth board candidate members in the attendees audience right now. And I'm going to ask them to raise their hands because I want them to go first. And just, as you know, we have one vacancy for our youth board member seat at the time. And we've had a couple of youth possible candidates express interest. So I'm going to call on, I know Jake is interested, so I'm going to allow him to talk. Hi, Jake.
Hello, can you hear me?
We hear you.
All right. Hello, how you doing?
Welcome to the meeting, and we'd love to hear a little about yourself. You have about 2 or 3 minutes, and just tell us about your history of Toluca Lake and your interest in this position.
All right, thank you. So as you guys know, my name is Jake Tiddick, and I'm like 16 years old. And I'm considering being a part of the youth board member position of the Greater Toluca Lake Neighborhood Council. And I was born at St. Joseph Medical Center, and I've lived in Toluca Lake all my life in the same house. I live with my father, Michael, my mother, Cami, my 2 sisters, Kylie and Lauren, and my brother, Nicholas, and my dog, Mister. My father is a longtime member at Lakeside Golf Club and has a satellite office on Riverside Drive, working for UBS. My mother stays busy with us 4 kids and continues to volunteer at all of our schools. My older sister, Kylie, just graduated from USC with a BS in neuroscience and a minor from the School of Marshall. Right now, she's currently applying for jobs. My sister, Lauren, is a junior at USC studying business and a minor in real estate development at the School of Price. And my brother, he just graduated from Notre Dame, and he is accepted an athletic scholarship to Pepperdine in the fall. He's really excited to play volleyball for their program. And I am a sophomore at Notre Dame High School, and I'm kind of really excited for the new year since I was online the whole last year. And I'm looking forward to meeting new people and finally having some consistency in my schedule. I am very involved in playing volleyball for both my high school and my club team. From time to time, I play golf with my dad at Lakeside, but my number one sport is by far volleyball. Through my school and church, I have been volunteering at least 40 hours per school year to the community. I spend a lot of time at Loaves and Fishes in Van Nuys collecting food, diaper, clothing, toiletries, and other things that are needed. We collect the items at our school, then we bring them to Loaves and Fishes where they are distributed to the people in need. I've also volunteered many times at Shane's Inspiration, St. Jude's Hospital, and St. Francis de Sales' biggest fair in the Valley for raising money for students that need scholarships and technology for the school and the school's upkeep. A fun fact about me is that I was actually most likely to be voted president in my class, even though I wasn't really the president for the school. They said I have like the most high chance of being like president. And I would sure to be able to make a difference in the community and our great nation. I am highly passionate about planning, problem solving, community advancement, developing positive results, and working with others. I am up to date on current affairs around the world, and I strive to learn more. If I am fortunate enough to be selected for the council, I am confident that I will deliver meaningful information to discussions, and I always take my responsibilities seriously. I will also strive to be a positive representative of the Greater Toluca Lake Neighborhood Council at all times. I thank you for my time, or your time, actually, sorry. I thank you for your time, and if you have any questions for me, I will answer them if you need. Thank you.
Thank you, Jake. Next, we'll move to Grant Whalen. Hi, Grant.
Grant. Oh, what did you say?
Oh, hi, Grant.
Hi.
Jake, you're welcome to give about a 2 or 3 minute introduction to the board.
Okay.
You're free to tell us about yourself.
Well, my name is Grant Whelan. I live in Toluca Lake, as you all know. I have not lived here all my life, actually. I've actually recently moved here. I used to live in Valley Village, and I was born actually in Philadelphia, and I was there for the first 8 years of my life. I go to Notre Dame High School. I'm a sophomore, and I live with my parents, one of my 4 brothers, and 2 dogs. I want to fill the position of the youth board member of the Greater Toluca Lake Neighborhood Council, because I feel I could do a good job at putting a useful opinion forward, and putting forward my opinion where it matters and where it could really help the neighborhood and all the people around us, including unsafe crossings or homelessness or anything of that nature that could help the people of Toluca Lake. I take my responsibilities 100% seriously. I can have my responsibilities as well as my school without getting anything mixed up or taking anything, like doing anything uncaringly. I'll put a lot of effort into everything I do, and I feel like I would be a great fill for this position.
Great. Thank you.
Colby, can I just ask, this is Robin, can I just ask how Grant,
Sorry, yeah, I'm 16.
thank you, Grant.
Does any other board member have a question for either candidate? A quick, very, very quick question. Usually we don't do questions and answers during public, but I'm making a little exception because this is kind of an interview.
Yeah, I do.
Very, very brief.
Okay. First of all, I want to thank both of you guys for speaking, because I know public speaking can be horrifying and nerve-wracking. So well done to you. And I'd like to meet you both. You sound like great guys. Notre Dame, hooray. My question also for Colby is, are we voting on youth members tonight? Because I'm aware.
No, we're not voting tonight.
Okay, good. That's all. And I look forward to meeting Jake and Grant, whether or not you're voted in. Thank you for participating. I think this is really good training for you guys, and we need more people like you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other board members have a quick question? Yes, Arthur? Okay, or Jake or Grant, do any of you have a very quick question for the board?
No, I do not. Thank you.
No, I do not.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I'm going to check one more time. I thought we might have one more youth candidate. If you're a youth candidate, please raise your hand. If you're not a youth candidate in the attendees, please lower your hand at this time.
No, I know it because.
Okay. I don't see any other hands raised, so we only had 2. Okay, we're going to move on. Thank you, Jake and Grant. I really appreciate it. It is very intimidating to do this, and Zoom does not help. But we look forward to working with either one of you. Would be wonderful. I'll let you know what the board decides. Thank you so much. We will move on to, again, a general open public forum. I want to remind everybody in the attendee list that this is only for, we're only going to discuss during the public forum right now, only items not on the agenda. So if you're talking about Weddington or something like that, we're not discussing this right now. You'll have your time at that portion of the meeting. Let's see.
Colby, before we dive in, can I just remind you to remove people's ability to talk after they're done speaking?
Yes.
Just so people can't accidentally unmute themselves.
Thank you. Thanks, Kathy. Unmute. And I think that's it so far. Okay, so I'm looking for raised hands in the public. So please feel free to, oh, I see David Wheatley. Good. Hi, David, you are unmuted.
Thank you, Colby. Yes, I'm a raised hand and I'm in the public. So it's great to see you. I'm a stakeholder in Toluca Lake and have a few philosophical comments, plus one in particular. Anybody remember records that used to skip? Well, I'm a broken record on Cahuenga Bloomfield. And what we're dealing with is we're going to end up with a 4-story building, way too many units, hardly any affordables. And this group here had a chance to vote this down and instead voted to approve it. And this is what happens when you vote to approve things, especially when there's no opposition. So I hope that will never happen again. I'd also like to talk about a rather odd topic, which is I've been thinking about the number of signs that we have to deal with driving down the road. That work is starting and work is ending, and this lane is closed. And these are mainly government signs. And I'm just starting to feel oppressed by the whole thing. I think we're being bossed around by government bureaucrats who don't really care what we think about things. And I'd like to suggest that each of us start counting the number of signs without crashing into anything and see what it is that we're really dealing with here. Possibly hundreds, if not thousands of signs over a week, a few weeks or a month. And this is symbolic of the kind of non-participation that the public has in government. We don't have any say over these signs. They just write a piece of paper or sign something. And before you know it, we've got signs all over the place, insignias on the road for bike heads. And they just put them there, and there's next to nothing we can do. And I'd like to invite, if not ask, if not implore, this neighborhood council to stand up against this kind of stuff wherever we see it, not just signs, but what this represents. And it takes a lot of work and a lot of effort to fight these people. Senate bills 9 and 10 are coming down the pike. I don't know if it's on the agenda or not, but this is another example of the kind of oppression that's coming from our government leaders. They're supposed to be elected, and they're elected, and they're supposed to be vetted by the thousands of people in their district. Same way if somebody got hired as a vice president for a company, they pass them around, him or her, around the company to see how people feel about them. Well, elected officials are supposed to be vetted by tens of thousands of people in their district. We're supposed to be getting really highly qualified people who will represent the individuals within the district. And we're really not getting that. These campaign contributions are off the hook, 9 and 10. The city council will hear 9 and 10 tomorrow. I hope people will show up to that, use the public comment to oppose these, and to get our council people, especially Ms. Rahman, who seems to vote for anything that involves development or the slightest bit of housing, one housing unit, she'll vote for these massive, massive developer giveaways to developers. So we really need a lot more push from organizations like this and from the Land Use Committee in Silver Lake to push back this oppression. And I hope you'll become more sensitive to it if you're not already, in light of my example about the signs, and extrapolate that throughout the whole system. Thank you very much for listening.
You're right. She is very friendly with developer. We had David Rue. He was honest.
Thanks, David. We're going to move on to Lynn Stevenson. Lynn, you are unmuted.
Let me unmute. Hi, my name is Lynn Stevenson. I'm a member of the Homeowners Association. I live in Toluca Lake. I live in an apartment complex.
Down a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. Am I
No,
speaking?
I'm sorry. I'm gonna mute you, Lee. I'm sorry. We can start again if you'd like. Sorry about that.
No, it's no worries. So I've lived in Toluca Lake for 13 years. I live in an apartment building on Cahuenga that's slated for demolition by our landlord. And what my concern is,
You're done.
oh.
Go ahead.
Oh, my concern is, you know, I was just hearing what David Wheatley was saying about development. I'm really concerned about some of these developments that take up an entire lot. Where I live now currently has 2 150-year-old pine trees, which are magnificent, and they are, you know, high into the sky. Palm trees, beautiful plants and gardens on the edge of the property, filled with birds, squirrels, you know, all sorts of wildlife come along. And what the developer who bought our property wants to do is to just scrape the lot. And one thing I'm really concerned, because I've walked up and down Cahuenga. I know it's the border street of Toluca Lake, and I've walked in other parts of Toluca Lake, you know, on the edges, and seen these developers just clearing out all these beautiful old trees. So one of the things I'm concerned about is it's wonderful that all of the cities, you know, the various neighborhoods are starting to give out free trees to people. And that's fantastic. But what's happening is we're losing our gigantic, magnificent trees that are 150 years old. And I want to know what I can do to try to stop this, because it's really sad to walk through. I love walking into Toluca Lake proper. Toluca Lake Estates is right behind where we live, and we walk down there all the time. The air is fresh, filled with animals and huge trees. And I'm concerned about the bordering areas on Toluca Lake, which are one by one being bought out, and old buildings being torn down and scraped, and all of these trees going away. And I'm wondering, is this something that other people are concerned about here, or people that I could try to work with to get this, you know, to somehow stop some of these magnificent trees from being just, you know, torn down?
Lynn, if you could come to the environmental committee meeting, we'd love to have you, and we could discuss.
When is that?
I do not have it off the top of my
The
head.
environmental committee meets on the second Tuesday of the month at 6 p.m. However, we are not meeting in September, unfortunately, but October 10th, I believe. No, it will be October 12th at 6 p.m.
Okay. 6 p.m.
I have something to share as well. So
If I can finish, Lynn, also
Give the location one more time. I'm sorry, I missed it.
My location where I'm at?
Yeah.
I'm in Toluca Lake on Cahuenga Boulevard, and we are, if you go toward Lancashire, between Valley Spring and Lancashire, you will see a once beautiful building that's built in 1938 that's right next to down the street from Cas de Sol, and it's covered with boards. And but the trees are what I'm really concerned about. I mean, I know that we have to move out, but one of the reasons I'm stalling leaving, we're actually looking to buy a place in the area, is because of these trees and the impact on the wildlife, the birds, and just losing these beautiful trees that provide a lot of shade and beauty.
If we can identify them, that's probably the first biggest step, Lynn, and mark them down on a map. I think that'd be really helpful. And then we can address this at the environmental committee meeting.
Okay, I will do that.
Okay, also, I'd like to make a comment. This is Lee. I hope I'm coming through. Can you copy me?
This is not the public comment. I mean, for board comment. It's time for stakeholders to raise.
Well, I have something for Lynn. May I, Colby?
Actually, we're losing order. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we couldn't do this.
Okay, well, Lynn, if you can contact me, I have some resources, including the NCSA Trees Committee. So drop me a line, Tess Taylor. I'm on the GTLNC website, and I'll give you a lot of details and would love to talk to you about this.
Thank you so much, Tess.
Tess Taylor.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you.
And Colby, just a reminder to remove people's permission to speak after they're done.
What happened?
Okay, so I'm looking for more hands from the attendees and the stakeholders and the public. I don't see it. Okay, so we'll move on to city and neighborhood news and announcements. I see Officer Curtis Delabar, and I saw him very busy. I'm gonna have to mute you again. Where are you, Officer Delabar? I saw you a second ago. Lost you. Hold on. There you are. Dr. Delbar, are you there?
Yes, I am here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Hey, thanks for having me here, you guys. Really appreciate it. All right, so I want to jump right into some stats real quick. They are a bit of alarming. So year to date, we are up nearly 100% in our robberies, which means our crimes doubled from last year. Our burglaries, however, are down 25%. They're down 25%. So that is amazing. We're seeing a trend of burglaries down. But with that, we also started seeing an increase of 33% from our burglary from motor vehicles. And I know this is a recurring problem, especially in the area. Not so much in Toluca Lake, east of Cahuenga, but more happening west of Cahuenga and north of Camarillo. That's primarily where a lot of our burglary from motor vehicles are happening. Now, that being said, I wanted to bring up one major thing is what we're seeing is a lot of mailbox theft. And we are seeing this mailbox theft. I'm getting emails, phone calls regarding mail thefts. When you do have a mail theft, when someone breaks into your mailbox, please notify the postal inspector on USPS. If you guys need more clarification, please email me and we can have a discussion about it and talk more in detail about what that is, because usually someone would have to break into an apartment complex to get your mail. So we can talk about that more offline when we have more time, because it is a little more of an in-depth discussion. And then two things I wanted to bring up also, and this is more of a clarification on my part. Has speeding decreased on Riverside Drive? I know that is a concern, and I wanted to kind of ask that question. And then the second question is, I'm still looking for that van near Trader Joe's on Toluca. I've been there last week and it wasn't there. So I wanted to see if anyone had seen the van. So two questions.
The old minivan, the white minivan with the couple living in it. Is that the one?
Yes.
I saw it today, parked on the north side, kind of adjacent to Sharky's Coffee Bean.
Gotcha. Thank you. And then the second question was speeding on Riverside. Has anyone noticed an improvement?
Real quick, Officer Delbar, it's Sean. I actually saw that same van on Vineland recently, between Riverside and Moore Park on the west end side of the street.
Perfect. Thank you.
What do you want us to do in the event that we happen? Call 911 or just call you direct?
In the event that what happens?
Did we run into it?
No. Just notify me directly. If you notice that there's criminal behavior with that van, then obviously 911. But I just want to know where that van is going, because for some reason I keep on missing it and I'm getting frustrated.
Will do.
And then the second question has speeding on Riverside lowered.
It seems the same. I work right on Riverside, and it doesn't seem any better or any worse. It seems about the same.
No, I guess that's okay, but I'd like to see improvements. So thank you for that. And then if I have more time, I'm open to answering a few questions if time allows.
Yeah, we have a moment.
Okay.
So yes, Officer Delbar, how are you? Nick Baker. You said what was robberies were up 100%?
Correct.
Physical strong arm robberies. Are you talking about violent? Are these what's going on there?
So robberies are in one class. That could include robberies from stores, robberies from person to person. We just classify it as one class right now. And that's just a year to date. So last year there was 15 robberies. This year we have 30 robberies that occurred.
Okay. So 30 robberies in the course of 8 months, 9 months. And I mean, obviously they're not good, but okay, it's up to 30. Okay, but we're not seeing a huge violent crime problem.
No. Again, that is very minimal comparatively to, say, our burglary from motor vehicles, which is in the 200s.
So you would say it is accurate to say that the problem continues to be not one of violence, rather one of petty theft and an issue of, what do you think are the tools that you need to really start to crack down on this petty theft? Is it more of this, you're catching them and they feel like they're not getting released kind of thing?
I think the heart of the problem would try to be, and I say this every single time, I know I'm a little redundant, is not keeping items in our vehicles and locking our cars. Okay. And then keeping our vehicles in well-lit areas to deter some of that crime from happening.
There you go.
Officer Delbar, what about home invasion?
Home invasions are not, what's it called? They're not very common at all. They happen, but they're not very common.
I have a couple of questions. One on the mail theft, and hi, Officer Delbar. I know we were playing a bit of phone tag this week. I am one of the people who's been contacting him about some mail theft issues. But the question I have is actually because we've been having a hard time actually figuring out exactly how to navigate that. So the problem we were having was not just with one person's mail, but multiple people's mail. And it's actually the same person who's coming back to our building again and again. And they seem to have a master key to not only the mailbox, but also the master key to like our building security system, the one that like only, firefighters and ambulances are supposed to have the ability to like open our front door through the intercom system. So there's a number of different issues happening there. And we have also luckily recently installed security cameras. So we have footage, we know who it is that's doing this. We have a license plate from the last time that they came, a lot of information. And we kind of got the runaround. So we were told by the postal inspector that in addition to filing a report with the postal inspector, we also have to file reports with the LAPD. I don't know if that is accurate, but we were planning to do both. And then on top of that, I think my husband was also told that we have to file an additional report with like the FTC or something. So there were like multiple agencies that needed to have reports filed. And I think in one case, they were saying we actually couldn't file the report with the postal inspector until we had the police report first. And so I don't know, my husband went physically to the police station and they wouldn't take the information there. They told him he had to do it online, but online it says you can't do it online if they've come through a locked door to get to the mail. So there's just a lot of confusion. I think it's very difficult for people to navigate. So I don't know if there is anything that we can do to clarify that, but I think we've kind of fumbled our way through what we know our next steps need to be. But if you can actually clarify whether the police report is necessary, that would be helpful.
So yeah, let me clarify that. I am speaking to our burglary detectives. They all gone home for today, so I'll speak to them tomorrow too. So these roadblocks you're experiencing, we should talk about it tomorrow. So I have more information for you.
Sure.
Because I've never had those roadblocks before on prior occasions.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm a little concerned because mailbox stuff has been around for a long time, unfortunately, and typically the postal inspector does handle it, but like you said, you have to go through a locked door to get to those mailboxes.
Right.
So that's why I got to talk to our burglary detectives to find out if it is needed to reports. As far as the FTC, that is brand new news to me.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm not sure, again, that was something we got from a postal employee. So again, we haven't tried to do that yet. But my understanding is that this is something that's been happening not just in our building, but in the area in general, that the post office was very aware that there are these people who have these master keys that are able to get into the entire mailbox unit and into people's buildings. So there is apparently a process where you can get those things rekeyed, but that requires, multiple steps be taken. So it's just not a very easy process for people to navigate, especially, in our case, my husband's on the HOA. And so he's, we're trying to help handle it for several neighbors who are elderly. And, it's a very tricky process.
I have been told in the past that getting a new postal key or updated postal key is very difficult and it's a little trying and patience is required. Yeah. And I've heard that from multiple people about that process. I think it's necessary because people either fashion their own keys or somehow they're buying these keys that are master keys that get into the entire mailbox and then have access to 25, 30 people's mails.
Right.
So I'm gonna put Paige, I'm gonna put you in touch with Officer Delbar so you can take this offline.
Yeah.
One comment, please, Paige. When you get this procedure sorted out, what is needed, could you let me know, Paige?
Sure.
So because I need to share this with other people as well.
Sure.
All right. Thank you.
One other quick question I had was today I also we unfortunately witnessed an incident on Cahuenga just before this meeting that somebody was defecating in the street, just like in the gutter of the street right on Cahuenga and Valley Spring Lane. And I wasn't sure, I mean, that's like a public health issue, I guess, but I don't know where the proper place is to report that so that we can make sure it gets cleaned up properly so that it's not just left there. And I don't know if is that something that we contact the police about, or is there a different number for those type of things?
So number one, I'd contact the non-emergency line for the police department.
Okay.
That may be a hazmat situation through sanitation to contact something like that.
Okay.
Because I don't think sanitation is going to come and clean that up. They have to bring special people to come clean it up.
Right.
All right, I see a question from Bob Civelli, and then we're going to move on. Hi, Bob, you have a quick question for Officer Delbar.
All right, I'm unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yep, I hear you.
Curtis, this is Bob Civelli, and good to hear you. And as always, thank you for everything that you do. I live on Riverside Drive, so I may be more sensitive to this than most, but over the last few years, the noise level has increased significantly. I'm talking about noise from motorcycles and high-performance cars that literally sets off cars' alarms and then shakes windows and is an overall detriment to quality of life. So I don't expect miracles, but does LA have a noise ordinance, and is there anything we can do?
The best thing for that would be extra patrol for those vehicles, either being a modified exhaust or radios or whatever is altered on their vehicles. So yeah, patrol does handle that, but mainly our Valley Traffic Division has another division that would help out with those as well. So yeah, we are working on it, to answer your question.
I just had to vent a little bit. Go ahead.
Thank you, Officer Delbar. I really appreciate your time. And I do see extra patrols going around Toluca Lake recently. And I think okay, we're going to move on to Mehmet Berger from CD4. Find Mehmet. You there, Mehmet? Raise your hand so I can see you out of the crowd, but I saw you earlier. Now you're there. Maybe you disappeared. I guess you disappeared. Okay, let me see who else we have on the.
Mehmet has his hand raised.
Mehmet is there, yeah.
Oh, there he is. Hi, Mehmet.
Kobe, do you want to make Robin or someone a co-host to be able to help with managing that? Will you also have to moderate?
Sure. Let me.
Okay.
There you go.
Catherine, I'm
or not Robin. Sorry, I can do it. Nick could do it.
Do it, Catherine. That would be great. And after Mehmet, Gibson's on the call.
Hi,
Yeah.
Mehmet.
Yeah. Hey, hi everyone. Yep. First of all, let's see. Yeah, just I think Officer Delbar was right. You can call 311 in for like something like that in the public right of way, because that would be sanitation. And let's see. Okay. Hey everybody. So updates are first of all, just letting everyone know. Hi, I'm Mehmet Berker. I'm the field deputy for Council District 4. My cell phone is 818-925-0465. Again, 818-925-0465. And my email is mehmet.berker@lacity.org. That is MEHMET.BERKER. Updates. So there's the Toluca Lake Homeowners Association Drive that you all may be aware of. That's on August 19th, 1 to 7 p.m. at the Armenian Congregational Church at 3480 Cahuenga Boulevard. You can sign up. You can email TLHOA, as in Toluca Lake Homeowners Association, of course, TLHOA Blood Drive, all one word, at gmail.com to set up an appointment. So encourage people to do so. I can't give blood since I lived in England in the mid-90s. So it is what it is, and I really wish I could. So if you can, please do. There is still the Toluca Lake Beautification Partners Riverside Streetscape Survey going on. that is running for another 5 days. The link, the best link to click would be to go to their website, I think. I just realized I walked
I
myself.
believe we also have a link to the Streetscape Survey on GTLNC.org.
Great. Yes, thank you. Sorry, I thought that this had the shorter link, but this has the longer link. But either of those would work. If you go to TolucaLakePartners.org, you can get to the survey then as well. And just wanted to also highlight, so some district-wide stuff. We're going to have a CD4 conversation about addressing the meth epidemic. That's going to be also on August 19th at 6 p.m. For a virtual forum. You can go to our website for more information about that. If you sign up to our mailing list, that's where you can get updates on that. There's another couple of things going on. So for small businesses, there is what are going to be known as comeback checks. So this is a COVID recovery program. There is going to be a email I can give, not email, website that's going to be a bit.ly website. So that's going to be bit.ly. So that's bit.ly/LA business source. Or you can reach out to me, and you can always feel free to CC our small business deputy, Sue Lee, at suin.lee. So that's SUIN.LEE at lacity.org. This is a call to get ready to apply. So having an active business registration, a tax certificate, recent tax returns from 2019 to 2020 is a good thing to start getting ready for that program. There's also funding rounds for the California Small Business COVID-19 Relief Grant Program. So that's a state effort. There will be 3 additional rounds for that. There will be a closed round for existing eligible applicants who were waitlisted in previous rounds. These applicants do not need to reapply. So if you did apply previously, or you know a business that did and they are waitlisted, they should be contacted as part of that closed round. There will also be at least 1 additional round for nonprofit cultural institutions. More information on that can be found at careliefgrant.com. And just in general, for other small business stuff, Sue at our office, she was a field deputy for the Hancock Park area, and she's transitioned to this role now. So if you are a small business owner, or you know one, or anything like that, you should feel free to reach out to her and introduce yourself. So that's Sue Lee, that's SUIN.Lee at lacity.org. Just another couple ones. There are job opportunities at the LA Conservation Corps. You all may be familiar with the LA Conservation Corps because we contracted with one of their teams to help service cleanup needs in our district, and they are fantastic. This is really a great program. It really takes, so they're between 18 and 26-year-olds that need paid job training, or they need to finish their high school diploma or anything like that. It's a great chance for folks to get a start in the workaday world. So if you know anyone that might benefit, we would encourage you to reach out. That you can do by going to LA Corps, so LACORPS.org/enroll. And yeah, that could just get you on the path to learning more about a great group. There's also the Angelino Corps, which is Mayor's program that is working for 18 to 24-year-olds living in Los Angeles. To apply for that, applications are due on Monday, August 23rd. And if you would like to apply, you should email, well, you can go to www.lamayor.org/Angelino Corpse. That's Angelino with E's, ANGELENO, Corpse _application to do that. And I will end kind of updates for that. Of now, well, I'll just also mention that should still feel free to make comment for the redistricting. That you can email written testimony to redistricting.lacity@lacity.org. Sorry, that one always trips me up. That's redistricting@lacity.lacity. redistricting.lacity@lacity.org. Okay. So that is a good place to submit comment there. So I will, yeah, I'll wrap up. I'll just say it was good hearing from the guys applying for the youth membership. That's awesome. And Jake, it's cool. You have a dog named Mister. We have a cat named Mister at my parents' house. So great minds think alike. And I'll take questions if that's what you want, Colby, or whatever you need.
Very, very brief. If they're very, very brief and can't be solved, can't be asked offline, we can take one or two quick questions. If they can be asked offline, that would be better because we are so slammed tonight. Okay. Anyone? Okay. Thank you, Mehmet. It was a pleasure meeting you.
I have a quick question, actually, very fast. And I don't know if it's premature for their discussion, but Mehmet, do you know Ms. Rahman's position on the upcoming historical preservation of the Weddington Golf Course? Is she for it or against it?
I do not. I can inquire as to it, but I do not at the moment. It's out of our district, so I'll have to.
That's true, but if it goes to the city council, she'll be voting on it. So that would be great to know.
Yes, I will find out.
Okay, thank you.
It was a pleasure meeting you the other day at the retreat giveaway. We have to break we have Congressman Brad Sherman waiting in the wings right now, so we're going to go to him. Again, thanks, Mehmet. Congressman Sherman?
Yes.
Yes.
Can I be heard?
Yes, so we can hear you loud and clear.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Pleasure having you visit us. And yes, let's go ahead.
Thank you so much for a chance to talk to the Neighborhood Council. I'm Brad Sherman from America's Best Name City, Sherman Oaks, and it's been a pleasure to represent the South and the West San Fernando Valley over the last 25 years. Now, I know most of you would want to spend at least an hour talking about everything that's going on in Washington, and that is exactly what we're going to do at my next telephone town hall. And I've, of course, done a series of these, and if you want to RSVP for the next one, suggest a question, learn how to log in, you go to bradsherman.house.gov. And obviously, one of the things we'll be discussing is Afghanistan, as tonight we pray for the people of Afghanistan. But there's a lot to discuss as to what went wrong and what our foreign policy should be. With me on this call is John Alford of our constituent service staff, and I want to put in a plug for his work. Imagine a federal agency makes a mistake. It could happen. It could affect you. You call John, he works very hard, he solves your problem, and then I, Brad Sherman, take the credit. It's an outstanding system. For that system to work effectively, you need our phone number, which is why I put it on the comb. And if you don't, obviously I don't hoard these for my own use. So we'll be distributing even more of them around the San Fernando Valley. But the other way to do it, of course, is for me to give you the phone number, which is 818-501-9200. We are working now on relatives of Valley residents who have people in Afghanistan trying to get out. I want to caution everybody here who has a passport, get it renewed now if it's going to expire in the next year or two, because the system for renewing passports is completely broken. And what should take weeks takes months. If there is a desperate need to travel, we can be of assistance. But the best thing to do is to just renew it a year before you thought you would. Don't renew it when you're planning to travel. Renew it because you never know. You might win a trip to Barbados. We are focusing on helping businesses with PPP and also with getting visas for their business partners for abroad. We're focusing on stimulus payments, child credit. Looking beyond that to what's going on in Washington. I'm being summoned back to Washington several weeks early so that we can focus on these major pieces of legislation. We'll also, of course, be getting classified briefings on Afghanistan. The two most powerful people when it comes to passing laws in Washington are Joe Manchin and the Senate parliamentarian. The Senate parliamentarian determines what bills require 60 senators to vote for them and which bills require 50 senators to vote. That is, those rules are incredibly arcane, but basically what is budgetary can take 50 votes if you go through a series of processes, and everything else takes 60 votes. The other most powerful person is Joe Manchin, because if you need 50 votes, he's the 50th. The Senate has passed a $1.1 trillion bill. The House and is very well. A bare majority of House Democrats are supportive of a majority of House Democrats, constituting nearly or perhaps barely a majority of the full House, supports the budget resolution put together by Bernie Sanders, which involves an additional $3.5 trillion of spending. Speaking of spending, this year we should have, for the first time in a decade, a chance to get some individual projects funded. I focused my attention on helping the homeless in the Valley with Hope of the Valley Rescue Mission. As you know, they're putting together a major new facility in Northridge, Baby to Baby, which provides maternity and baby care products to those who are destitute, food distributions program. And then I'm impressed by New Directions for Youth in Lancashire. So that's what I'm working on. I could easily go on for a long, long time. I don't know if there's anything else I should have.
Thank you, Congressman. Does the board have any brief questions for?
Congressman, Nick Baker, I appreciate you, and I'm just so concerned about the homeless crisis right now, and the scale of what's going on, and I think some of the absolute inability of people on the ground to deal with what exactly is going on, just because of the scale. And one of my big things with this is a lot of these people aren't from here, and we should be getting federal dollars in this city to deal with the homeless crisis, because we're the end of the line. This can keeps getting kicked down to LA, and I'm expected to pay for meth addicts from Nebraska. And listen, I have compassion for these people. What I don't have is endless money. And it's a serious problem. We need to deal with the homeless encampment specifically. We need sanctioned encampments. We need all of this stuff. We had a $1.7 billion facility the Board of Supervisors was going to build, and then they didn't build it. There's 4,000 beds in there. We could have put severely drug addicted and mentally ill in there, and we just don't do it. And it's things like that happen. It just blows my mind, because it's like if we don't fix this, they're going to get in charge again, and then we're going to lose the funds. We have the funds, we don't spend them effectively. If you have 5 minutes with me, man, I've been in this for a month. I would love to tell you some of my ideas and what I really think we could do. But I just wanted to just say that I think we deserve a significant amount of money on the ground. We end up dealing with the end result of homelessness and the Sackler drug addiction. It's been pushed in every CVS and Rite Aid across this great nation that has landed in my backyard. And so, you know, President Biden spoke specifically about putting people in rehabs they can't leave. And we need to really start doing that on the ground in this state, in this city. And I don't know that we have the political will or the leadership right now to do it. And I really hope that you could help us make that happen or something. I don't know. That's my.
I am certainly fighting for every dollar in Washington. And as bad as the problem is, I hate to tell you, there's one more thing that could make it worse, and that is evictions.
Right.
We're at a situation where people haven't paid their rent, haven't been able to pay their rent. We've secured over $400 million for the city of Los Angeles to pay the landlords. And at this rate, they're going to be spending the dispersing the money deep into 2022. And I can fight for money for the city, but this is an emergency situation. If the landlords don't get the money, they can't pay their mortgages. And if they don't get their money by the time the eviction moratorium is over, which, by the way, is next month, then you could see evictions. And if you see evictions, where are those people going to go? So the other thing that is so disappointing is to see the city spending up to $600,000 a unit to provide a place for homeless people to live. It's very hard for me to go to people from Wichita and Omaha and say, I need more federal money because I need $600,000 per homeless person. So that's why, you know, I have an earmark that I think will get funded for Hope of the Valley. They do it for $35,000. Now, they're not giving somebody a house. They're giving somebody a bed, but related services and security. So I'll fight for the money. You and I'll fight to try to make sure it's better spent.
Also, by building more apartments, that's not the answer either, because they're so expensive. Number one, the homeless can't afford it. Number two, we're over inundated, and some of them are half empty anyhow, but they get government subsidies, and which pays them to stay empty. It's better for the landlord. They don't have to maintain it.
I'm not aware of any federal program that gives a subsidy to landlord for keeping an apartment unit vacant. If there is, and you have the details, I'll do my best to change it.
Right, thank you.
But there are empty units, and yes, you need. Well, I can see if a new unit is $2,000 a month, maybe
That's ridiculous. That's crazy. Nobody can afford that. We don't need more apartments. We need houses, duplex, one story. We don't need to keep drawing more people from out of state here, and that's what it does.
Well, we certainly need housing that people can afford.
Houses.
And it may be houses in some places. It may be multifamily units in other places.
That's the quality of life goes down.
It's it's very hard for people who have $15 an hour jobs to afford a house. You know, you can't afford a house in the San Fernando Valley on $15 an hour. You can't afford a house in the Valley for $20 an hour. And as long as we have jobs that pay $15 and $20 an hour, and there are those that pay less, we've got to ask, where are people going to live? That doesn't mean they're going to live in single family neighborhoods, but it also doesn't mean that they should be living on sleeping in their cars.
No, but at least stop the development so we don't invite other people out here as it is and make do with what we have. There's plenty enough vacant, we can fit them in.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Any
Thank you.
For Congressman Sherman? No? Well, thank you so much, Congressman, for joining us.
Thank you very much, and look forward to keeping in touch. And I can't be with you every meeting, but John Alford can be with you more often than I can. And while I do point out that that the staff does the work on this constituent service, there's not every other day I'm on the phone pushing somebody to the staff tried to push, and we have a reputation that if you don't respond to John, Brad will be calling, the congressman will be calling your boss's boss.
Oh, I know.
So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night. Next, we have Brenda Inez from our LA County Supervisor's Office.
Thank you very much, Colby. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, we hear you loud and clear.
Awesome. Good evening, everyone. My name is Brenda Yanez, Field Deputy for Supervisor Sheila Kiel, and I'll go ahead and get started by providing you all with some COVID-19 updates as of right now. So as you all know, after many months of low transmission, LA County is now seeing a surge in cases that looks similar to what we were looking at last summer. And according to the Centers for Disease Control, also known as the CDC, indicators and threshold for community transmission of COVID-19, LA County is now at the level of high community transmission. And those COVID-related hospitalizations in LA County have nearly doubled in the last couple of weeks. And some early studies do suggest that the Delta variant's faster replication, higher viral load, and great affinity for lower respiratory tract cells compared with an earlier COVID-19 strain makes it more efficient at spreading from person to person. And as transmission does accelerate, unvaccinated people are becoming infected at 5 times the rate of transmission of just 1 month ago. While emerging data does affirm that fully vaccinated people are well protected from severe infections with the Delta variant, people with only 1 vaccine are not as well protected. And there is increased evidence that a small number of fully vaccinated individuals can become infected and may be able to infect others. Just to put a little bit, some numbers into perspective, as of July 27, 0.2159% of fully vaccinated people in LA County have tested positive for COVID-19 over the course of the pandemic. And these numbers are reported weekly on Tuesdays on the public health, LA County Public Health website. And just to put those numbers into perspective, it's not nearly impossible for you to not get COVID, even if you are fully vaccinated. So we are. Sorry about that. That was my dog. Okay, I'll try to speak a little louder so you can all hear me. But yeah, it's still, COVID is out there. The Delta variant is coming back very, hitting everybody very strongly. And we're encouraging everyone to continue to wear your masks, even if you're outdoors, especially if you're indoors with a lot of people around you. If you are not vaccinated yet, we're also encouraging you to get vaccinated. That's something that you are looking into doing. In regards to events, on August 21st, that's this Saturday coming up, our office in partnership with many other community organizations in Pacoima will be hosting a COVID-19 pop-up. This is our 3rd COVID-19 pop-up at Pacoima City Hall, and we are hosting a resource fair at that pop-up vaccination site. So feel free to stop on by if you'd like. I'll be sending that flyer as soon as I have it. And aside from that, we will be having our food distribution this Friday, August 20th at Brandon Park in Mission Hills. And I believe I did send out that flyer to you all. If you haven't received it yet, I'll be more than happy to send it over once again. Aside from that, just wanted to reiterate that the supervisor every year has 2 rounds of discretionary funding available for CBOs and nonprofit organizations. So if you do know of any nonprofits that could make use of those funds, please encourage them to take advantage of it and apply as soon as possible. The second cycle ends in October, to be exact, October 1st. We're trying as hard as we can to be able to bring as much money into the Valley. So if you have any nonprofit organizations in mind, feel free to send them over my way. I'll be more than happy to walk them through that process of applying and submitting that application on time. Aside from that, my contact information, I believe, is located on the agenda, but just in case you don't have it, I will go ahead and provide it now. So you can always go ahead and reach me via email at B as in Brenda, Yanez, Y-A-N-E-Z, at bos.lacounty.gov. Once again, it's byanes at bos.lacounty.gov, or you can reach me at our district office number at 818-901-3831. Once again, it's 818-901-3831. Those are all my updates for today. If there are any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer any.
Thank you, Brenda. Any brief questions for Brenda?
Yeah, hi, Brenda. Did you say it was the position of the LA County Department of Health that we should be getting multiple vaccines? So if you have Johnson, you should also be getting a Pfizer or a Moderna or whatever?
Yeah, so there's still a lot of information. I don't know if you're referring to the booster shot that has been promoted on social media, etc.
I don't know what the position. I feel like you said we should be getting multiple ones. I have the Johnson & Johnson. I wonder, do I need to?
No. Yeah, so if you have Johnson & Johnson, that is just one dose. So you don't have to worry about receiving a second dose. I don't know how that will look like as soon as a booster shot comes out. As of right now, they are recommending a booster shot for folks that did receive Pfizer and Moderna. Okay. However, only people that qualify for that booster shot at the moment are folks that are immunocompromised. Right. Okay. And even if you're immunocompromised, we are recommending you check in with your healthcare provider to make sure that they will authorize you from receiving it. But there is still a lot of information that we still need to get from the federal government in regards to how everything else will be rolling out moving forward with that booster shot. But I'm more than happy to report once I have that information.
Great. Thank you. And the other question I had,
sure.
And I'll just follow up with you about that mental health facility. That'll be we'll have a conversation.
Yeah, for sure. Feel free to email me and I'll be more than happy to help if I can.
Thank you.
No problem.
I appreciate it, Brenda. You have a lot going on.
Thank you, Colby.
Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Next, we have Gibson from Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. Just saw you a second ago. Here we are. Good evening, Gibson.
Hi, good evening, Mr. President, members of the board. Good evening. Happy Tuesday, everybody. How are you guys doing today?
Very well, thank you.
Nick, I am team J&J too, so I'm definitely hoping they'll give out further instructions as to for folks who took the one shot. So hi, everybody. So just want to touch base on one or two items. Want to touch base. I know it's on the agenda this evening. Wanted to definitely sing this song. Civic U is back. We are really encouraging all our board members to participate in Civic U. I know it's definitely going to be virtual. But it's going to be several sessions. It's going to be September 19th, September 9th, September 23rd, September 30th. And this will be in different topics. The first one will be the power structure of Los Angeles City Council, the guts of city government, and mobilizing for influence. So as you know, as department is continuously offering different training modules. This is something I'll touch base with the president, seeing how we may be able, if folks were not able to join the first module, the neighborhood council training module, I definitely want to do a retreat. So we can just ask questions in terms of processes. Maybe we'll be able to invite the city attorney's office so they can come and do a presentation on conflict of interest. Definitely wanted to touch base on that. Also, in addition to that, if folks have any issue logging into the Cornerstone platform, again, this is something that I'm looking to make sure that we can maybe work with you virtually. I want to make sure that all stakeholders are accommodated to participate using our training platform, Cornerstone. Some people don't like it, but right now it's our system that we're using. But we want to make sure that everybody has been able to access it and complete their trainings. Please just make sure if you need to do any ethics, making sure that if you need any assistance, I definitely check on our website. There's 2 board members who need one training and one needs the other. Please make sure you contact me if you're not receiving any correspondence from me or the department. Please let me know. Just want to let me know if you did not receive my email this week. I sent it out yesterday that just says Civic U is back. So if you did not receive my email, that just means you're not getting all our department emails. And we are really working hard to streamline that process just to make sure that everything is streamlined, especially in the communication aspect of it. And with that, I just want to say have a good meeting. If anybody has any question.
Gibson, I do have one question.
Yes, Ms. Catherine.
We have a potential CIS on the agenda this evening, and we'd voted at a previous meeting to give Colby and myself, Colby as president, me as a chair of governmental, access to the portal to submit those. What do we need to do to actually get us that access?
So once we've done the motion, we'll email my colleague Lorenzo. I'll send you and Kobe the email. It's just two people, right?
It's just the two of us. We voted on it at the last meeting.
Okay, so it's been voted on already.
Yes.
Okay, so two people. Okay, I'll follow up. I'll send an email this evening. So I'll CC you and my colleague Lorenzo, and then he enables you to have access into this CIS portal, and then you'll be able to sign in, and then you'll be able to start submitting CISs.
Great, thank you so much.
Appreciate it, Catherine.
Okay, well, thank you, Gibson.
I see Miss Taylor. Yes, Miss Taylor.
Sorry, I have a clarifying question, Gibson. Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you, Miss Taylor?
In terms of the portal to submit CISs, is it not possible once we approve a CIS to submit it straight to the city council website?
That's how you'll be able to submit it to the city council website. That's on the back end, right? Because you need when someone is, because we are the ones who are able to sort of create your user account, and then it's able to log into the city system, and that's how it ends up being on the portal for council file management.
I'm just a little confused because I upload stuff to the city council file system all the time as an individual. So, but maybe we can take this offline. It just sounds to me like, once approved, there's no reason Colby or Catherine, as far as I can see, couldn't submit a CIS or any document to a city council file.
You can, but the neighborhood councils is different because it becomes part of official city document. And then it's usually viewed easily in a council file management to see which neighborhood council submitted. It's a little different in comparison to public comment.
Okay, well, it's going to be a public document either way on the neighborhood council or the city council system. But okay,
but it funnels it differently. Just that's what I wanted to emphasize. It funnels it differently.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Gibson.
Thank you. You guys have a good meeting.
I'll talk to you very soon. I talk to you very frequently.
Bye-bye.
I'm looking at remaining city neighborhood news and announcements representatives. I don't see any more. If you are on my list, you know who you are. Please raise your hand at this time, or else we're going to move on. If you're on a different name, under a different name. Okay, we will move on to executive committee. That's that. I'll handle that. As you know, tonight we heard from two candidates for our one youth board member seat. And at our next general board meeting, I plan to have us choose the youth board member who will fill that seat. I've reached out to the previous 3 grievance committee members, and actually during this meeting, I received a message from one of them, but I haven't had a chance to listen to the email. And committees and chairs, we're going to move forward with that. Rob, do you have anything to add, or Catherine, anyone else in the executive committee about that? No? Okay. I think you're muted.
Sorry, I was muted. Do we have a date yet for when we're planning to vote on appointing the youth board member? Will that happen at the next meeting, or are we still looking for candidates?
I'd like it to happen. So what we do is we would place it on the agenda. At our next executive committee meeting, I believe we place this vote on the agenda for our next board meeting, and I want to get it done because I want to get it done as soon as possible.
Great, thanks.
Well, can I say something, Colby? Because I put out the word for youth board members, and so they tell me what the process is, because I have to follow up with the government program, the youth government program at the YMCA, which is where a lot of great youth board members have come from before. What should I tell them if there are candidates?
Well, I was hoping, reason I've been asking at every meeting that we've had for all of our board members to reach out and do, and call out for youth board members, and I just have to get it done. So I
Okay, well, but we have to know what the dates are. I have made a call out precisely as you requested. So give me the dates that people need to get in or get to you, or what needs to happen for them to be considered, because I don't have a date or dates.
Well, it's basically at my discretion. To be honest, I just reading the bylaws right here, and I feel it's time that we move forward with.
All right. So when you ask us, the board members, to reach out for youth members, you don't plan to consider them because you're going to.
Well, no one responded with anyone, and what I felt was a reasonable amount of time. And
Okay.
two people came to me, and
Okay.
that was the best anyone did. That's
All right. Well, let me suggest that you give us a deadline, because I did precisely what you suggested, Colby. I reached out, and I will follow up, and I will present some candidates to you if you are willing to consider them. But if you're not going to consider them, then I won't waste my time. So what would you like me to do?
We're going to go with the two candidates we have as we stand right now.
I see. So then your instruction to us to reach out was not really in good faith. Okay, noted.
Not include an actual deadline, but I felt I made it well known, and that's what happened.
Well,
thanks, Tess. All right, we're going to move on to Treasurer's Report with Arthur.
Okay, if someone can give me to share my screen, and while that's happening.
Arthur, will you read them, or do you want me to
Yes.
read the motion?
Oh, sure, go ahead.
Okay. Motion B, to approve the July 2021 MER and expenditures for reconciliation submission to the city clerk. Do I have a first? Anyone?
I'll first it.
Okay, Colby, thank you.
Catherine will second.
Catherine, thank you. Okay, Arthur, go ahead.
Sure.
I made you co-host.
So
you need a
July 1st was the beginning of our fiscal year. We received an allotment of $32,000 from the city for this coming fiscal year. This is the same allotment to all the neighborhood councils. During the month of July, we had spent $2,100. That consists of two invoices, one for May and one for June for our media coordinator. The invoices were for $802 and then $1,167. And then we also had expenses for our Gmail service of $134 and then MailChimp for $26, leaving us with an ending balance of $29,871. We do have some funds that are rolling over from the prior fiscal year, and the city typically gives us access to that around the October timeframe. So do we have any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. Robin, can you go to a roll call vote?
Yes. Catherine Hatton,
Yes. Sorry.
Arthur, that's okay.
Yes.
Robin, yes. Nick,
Yes.
thank you. Ren,
Yes.
Fred,
Yes.
Matt,
Yep.
Lee. Okay, Lee, if you're there, chime in. I'm going to go on to the page. Paige,
Yes.
Tess. Tess, are you there?
Yes, you're muted.
Sorry, I had muted myself.
That's okay, no worries. Sean,
Yes.
great. Lee, are you there? Last chance, Lee.
call Kevin Dees. Is he still on the?
Did I miss Kevin? Kevin, sorry.
Yes.
Great. Lee? Okay, Lee?
Yes.
Wait. Did you hear Lee?
I did not hear Lee though.
Okay, I'm just gonna mark him excused. Okay, motion carries 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Yes, I'm on now. Yes.
Okay,
I just
thank
figured out how to
you,
do
Lee.
this. Sorry.
Thank you, Lee. Okay, let me count
Okay.
one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 0, 1, because we have one excused. 13, 0, 1. Motion carries.
Thank you, Arthur. Next up, we have our Plum Planning and Land Use Committee. Bren?
Yeah, thank you. Good evening. We've got several things on here. The Coing, I'm just going to update quickly. Coinga Addison lot, the Beautification Partners is working on that. We've had some questions around the church taking on certain responsibility for that. And so, we've had to deal with some of those problems, but the plan for the Addison lot is going forward at this point under a budget where we have the money to pay for it. So it's moving forward slowly as it has over the years. The Streetscape Survey, Riverside survey, everyone needs to go online and participate in that. You can get there through the Beautification Partners, and I also believe our GTLNC website has a link to that as well. But you need to do it this week so we can get as many people. And you don't have to be a formal stakeholder. You can have a fairly peripheral stake in the community and still go online and vote for the things that you think are important. The people doing the survey actually are fairly sophisticated in asking some questions which allow them to see how directly you're involved. Business people on the street will have more to say in some senses than somebody who just buys a cup of coffee on the street once a week. The angled parking on Foreman, that's moving forward as well. We just trying to sort out with the city clerk our contract with the design firm that's going to give us formal plans and a cost estimate for the parking under the freeway there at Foreman. Once we have that, why then we can go after some funding and hopefully get that to move. The final thing on the agenda, the Wellington Golf and Tennis Cultural Cultural Heritage Designation. We put the motion here on our agenda. The committee discussed it. There was some people who were for it, others who were opposed to it, and actually a significant number of the people on the committee who really abstained because they just didn't feel they had enough information. We didn't have enough people to have a special committee this last week, but we felt in all fairness to those people who are supporting this to put it on the agenda for the full board to discuss. And so we have this. The motion basically reads, the Greater Toluca Lake Neighborhood Council supports the Cultural Heritage Commission decision to nominate the entire 16 acres of Weddington Golf and Tennis Club, which is in Studio City, located at 4141 Whitsett Avenue, to be included on the list of historic cultural monuments. I think we have a couple of people on the who are in the waiting room who have background and can talk about this and give us both the pro and the con on this. And
Ren, you read the motion. We need a first. We need a second.
right. Okay, good.
Do we have a first?
Nick Baker will first that.
Thank Nick. Do we have a
Fred second. Fred
Who's
second.
Fred? Thank you, Fred. Okay, Ren, go ahead.
Okay. So Colby, if you could, we've got, I think Stacy Marple is on, Marble, Marple is on, and I think Patty also is the pro person, and Stacy is the representative of the
Harvard West.
the school, the owner, yeah, of the property.
Ask, I'm here right here. Behind the list on the top. I'm going to ask Patty to speak. Patty, you are unmuted if you'd like to say something.
Hi, thank you for taking this on. And actually, we asked for Terry Austin, who is also on the meeting,
Would you like her to speak?
with that part of it.
I
Thank
see
you.
her. I see her here. Yes, I'll ask her.
Call on Terry.
Hi, Terry.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for the time. Is there an opportunity to share my screen with you tonight? I don't have any written documents. I just have photographs.
Sure. Yes. Let me make you a co-host temporarily if I can. What?
Okay.
Try.
You don't have to make her a co-host. You can just make her a panelist.
Okay.
All right.
Yes, I'm gonna. Unless you want to do it, go ahead, Catherine. You just do that. You can do it right.
Okay, there I am.
Is it working?
Yeah, I see it starting.
Okay, we see your screen, Terry.
Who put in the application for this. And I wanted to tell you, this isn't something that I came up with because I heard there was a development. I've lived in Studio City for 35 years, and I've been well aware that this property had historical merit since it was in 2006. It was a historical presentation made by the Historical Resource Group that did the research into the property. And then in 2012, the city of Los Angeles in 2012 put this property on Survey LA, saying it was eligible to be made a historical monument. So this isn't something that's been dreamed up in the last couple of months. This is something that has been in the works for a very long time. This is the property as you see it today. And this is the golf course, and this is the tennis courts here. This is the clubhouse as it was in 1955 when it opened. And as you can see from the first picture I showed you, it's very little has changed since 1955. One thing to note is it meets the criterion of an excellent example of a post-war recreational facility. So the criterion is decided by experts in the field. The Cultural Historical Commission did 2 meetings, a site visit, 3 staff reports, and it is they who designated it. It isn't just something that the neighbors would like to have happen. They were the ones, the professionals who designated it. You might have heard that there's been a lot of changes to the property. In fact, the progression of the holes is exactly the same as it was when the golf course opened. This is the first hole, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, sixth, seventh, 8th, and 9th. The only thing that changed was the addition of the tennis courts, and that was in this part of the property here. But the course progression has stayed the same, And then the addition of the golf course just expanded the amount of recreation available. Here you are in 1955 when the driving range opened, and you can see that there's women golfing here. One of the very special things about this property is it always has been inclusive since it opened. It never had any race covenants or religious covenants, and it was especially encouraging women to play. This golf property offered 50-cent lessons at the time when the going rate was $5. And there, I want you to notice these programmatic architectural light standards. They've been referred to by the developer as novelty light stands, but they are in fact a very iconic Southern California historical piece of architecture. If you think of the Brown Derby restaurant or the Chili Dog restaurant, there are different other examples in Southern California of this programmatic architecture. Here again is an example from 1955, and these I took just a few months ago. 6 of the original 8 are still standing, and they're in their original space, and they are a landmark as you drive down Whitsett. These are pictures I took myself. I'm not a professional photographer. I just wanted to express to you the entire property has been designated. There was a revision to the nomination, but it still says the subject property, meaning the entire property. The property, the golf course, is a culturally planned historic landscape, which is part of the criteria for this nomination. The developer keeps trying to diminish this and saying that there's only the clubhouse is significant, but that's not what the nomination says. So please take a look at these beautiful trees in the shade that they create. Here, disc golf has also been added in the last several years. Over 50,000 Angelenos use this facility. Here are some vintage pictures to, again, just give you a little throwback. Colby, I see you've got a vintage camera in the back of on your wall there, so you have an appreciation for vintage things. And there, Dean Martin was the first celebrity to play the very first tournament. He hit the first ball. And these are some women playing. Again, they were encouraged to play. And this is Fred Weddington, again, a historical figure for the Valley. We have a website called Save Weddington. If I'm talking really quickly and you want to go back and review this, please do. There's a tab that says history. And I just want to conclude by saying this nomination does not preclude development. It doesn't stop development. All it does is give us a seat at the table, us meaning the community, a little leverage on what might be promoted to the developer to preserve as much as we can of this historic relevance. So I want you to know that saying that it is a recreational facility and they're going to build a recreational facility, or what the development might be, or the traffic or the environmental impact, that's not what we're asking you for tonight. All we're asking you for is to support the nomination that has been made by the professionals as it is for the subject property, the entire property, and it gives us a voice at the table. And I do want to say we do have 11 other neighborhood councils that have signed on to this, and our petition tells us by zip code where people live, and thousands of people in Toluca Lake use this property, and thousands in Sherman Oaks. And it's just like I couldn't help but note that the 2 young men who spoke tonight to be part of your youth seats both go to school at Notre Dame, which isn't in Toluca Lake. I just want to point out that our San Fernando Valley neighborhoods, our neighborhood councils, there is strength in numbers, and I hope that you'll see fit to support this beautiful historical piece of property that many people in your neighborhood council area also enjoy. If anyone has any questions, I've been studying this for 2 years. I could answer anything you like.
I have a question.
Yes.
Hi, Terry. Thank you so much. My name is Kevin. I love this place. I've been going there since I was a little kid. I guess my question is, though, I mean, in terms of stopping something like this, I mean, is that really possible? I mean, don't they have a, does Harvard Westlake have a right to do what they want there?
Well, I bought my house 35 years ago, and if I asked the city for a conditional use permit to put a Starbucks where my house is, they would most likely tell me that I couldn't do that because it's not zoned for that. This piece of property is zoned agricultural and open space, and there is a conditional use permit opportunity for an owner of a property to build something there other than agriculture. And that's what the school is hoping to get. And as I said, this doesn't stop development, and it's not what this nomination is about. The nomination is about trying to preserve as much as possible. The development that is proposed is enormous, and perhaps some of the property, some of the 350 trees that they want to cut down that are on this cultural landscape, some of the 12-foot walls that will envelop most of the property could possibly be mitigated.
Well, I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm just curious as to, like, by voting on making it a historical, having it have a historical designation.
It won't stop development, Kevin. No, it doesn't do that.
No, but I mean, will it stop Harvard Westlake from doing what they want to do?
No, I don't think, and that's not our intention. I think that there's an opportunity for them to, I mean, their plans haven't been approved yet. And if there's some mitigation in terms towards preserving some of the property, there's no guarantee whether the historical nomination goes through or not, that anywhere down the line when the DEIR comes out, that the city's going to grant this enormous project to go forward. So when all of that comes to pass, if there is a historical nomination, it just brings that up as one of the things to be considered when the city's deciding what they're going to let them build. But it does not stop development. That was never our intention.
Thank you, Terry and Kevin. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get now, because there's so many people that need to speak on this, and what I'm going to do is now go to, we're not going to do questions and answers right now. And just, we're going to do this after we have Stacy speak. So Terry spoke, now we're going to have Stacy speak, who represents Harvard Westlake, and then we can go into more open discussion, back and forth. Let me find Stacy. Stacy, raise your hand if you, there you are. Oops, I'm sorry, that was the wrong person. Hi, Stacy. You hear me? Stacy? There you are.
Yes. Can you hear me, Colby?
We hear you. We hear you. The board hears you. So
oh, great.
We had Terry speak, and now we're going to ask you to speak, and then we're going to open it up for a broader discussion with everybody else.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everybody, and thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Stacy Marble, and I am the Harvard Westlake Schools Director of Community and Public Affairs. I also had the honor of serving the city of Los Angeles for over a decade for Councilmember Tom LaBonge, and had the privilege of working with Alice Roth in Toluca Lake. It's so great to see so many familiar faces. For the last 70 years, Weddington Golf and Tennis has been a for-profit business that has offered paying customers the ability to engage in two recreational activities, golf and tennis. Harvard Westlake understands that some stakeholders have come to value or even depend on access to the recreational opportunities at the site. The historic use is accounted for in our plan for the Harvard Westlake River Park. In fact, the River Park will not just preserve the community's historic access to recreational opportunities at this property, but expand upon it. At the same time, we are taking the architecturally significant elements of the site, namely the clubhouse, cafe, putting green, and golf ball lights, and preserving them so that they can be reused as a part of the Harvard Westlake River Park. The picture that Terry showed at the corner of Valley Spring and Woodside with that historic clubhouse, that will look exactly the same once our project is complete. We have proposed a redevelopment of the site that will offer a far greater choice of recreational activities and will serve an even broader range of community stakeholders than the facility currently does. The planned athletic fields will be open to the public for soccer, frisbee, playing a game of catch. The swimming pool, available for public swim programs. The tennis courts, open to the public for matches and tournaments. Even the gymnasium, open for reservation by community groups. The remodeled clubhouse, updated cafe, acres of beautifully landscaped park area, walking and jogging trails, seating, shading, water features, all will be open to the public. In fact, city approval of the project will come with the condition that these amenities will be available for community enjoyment. We fully accept and embrace this commitment. We look forward to inviting the community to enjoy the river park along with us. In committing to community access to a wider range of recreational amenities that are currently available, the Harvard Westlake River Park doesn't just honor the history of publicly accessible recreational use of the property. The river park doubles down on that historic activity on the property. For those who are in attendance at the Cultural Heritage Commission when they met earlier this year, the commissioners appropriately recognized what I expressed earlier, that Weddington has long been a place of public recreation and that the continued public access to recreational facilities is what is most important. This is reflected in the recent updated recommendation from the CHC. And to be clear, we support that continued public access to recreational open space. I'm happy to take any questions that anyone might have.
I have a question. This is Robin Allen. Stacy.
Hi, Robin.
Hi, how are you? And
good, how are you?
I was at the Plum committee meeting and I heard both of your presentations. And I think now I'm coming to this late in the game, and I too, like Kevin, spent many hours on that golf course. I took golf lessons for 3 years. Honestly, I think it's a wonderful place. You know, it really is a fantastic place to go with families. And, you know, I was sad to hear that Harvard Westlake purchased the property, knowing that it would be developed. But I can appreciate the fact that I believe it was you that said that, was it Krikorian that agreed to all their recommendations, and that you are trying to work with this Save Weddington. What I'd like to know is, with this motion tonight, because I'm still very unclear about a lot of things, what will this mean if we vote yes to pass this and support of these 11 other neighborhood councils? What would our yes vote mean to your going forward with this project? How would it affect you?
So very, very good points, Robin. As you brought up, Councilman Krikorian sent out a letter to the community identifying about 25 requirements that he is putting on the school that must be met for the project to go forward. Mm-hmm. And I'm happy to say that the school has met every last one of them. So thank you for bringing that up. But I learned to play golf at that facility. I still play tennis at that facility. So I understand the connection to this place, and what we're proposing will hopefully keep that special community place going forward for everyone to come and still be able to enjoy with their families, with their kids. But I have to say that golf, regardless of what happens with historic designation, will no longer be an activity on this site. And I just want to be very clear about that golf will no longer be an activity on this site. There will be a host of other ways to enjoy this space: swimming and a jogging path that's a mile long around the perimeter of the property, indoor gym space, field usage for soccer, etc. But golf will no longer happen. So I just have to be fully honest. Yes.
Is, what will the yes of this motion do to Harvard Westlake going forward? Will this stop the development in any way? Is this just, I mean, I'm just curious how this, because, you know, when I vote in public elections, I'm always very confused what yes means and what no means. And I'm asking you to kind of clarify what this motion really does for Save Weddington and for Harvard Westlake.
For the, yes.
And I'll ask Terry the same thing.
Sure. For the opponents of the project, we believe they are using this as a way for it to leverage a seat at the table and to delay the inevitable that will most likely take place on the site with the CUP, which we're applying for. Terry's made it clear that she is using this as leverage against the school and the development. So it might just take it all a little longer, but golf will no longer be there.
No, I understand that.
Okay.
The facility sounds amazing. I mean, if my kids
it could
went to
be,
Harvard
yeah.
Westlake, I'd be absolutely out of my mind. But you know, I'm curious how this
could be, sure. For some people see it as an abuse of the historic process.
Mm-hmm.
Some people think this is a way to prolong it, the city process, and just as an abuse of the historic process.
Okay, so what I want to do is
Terry, her quick comment.
A very quick question for Stacy, by the way, just really fast. How long is the golf course going to be open still? And what's wrong with the facilities currently at Harvard Westlake?
So the school, if you're familiar with Harvard Westlake, the school has some unbelievable athletic programs. About 66% of our students participate in an athletic activity. Our current site is overburdened with usage of our facilities. And our kids have a very intense academic schedule. And in order for our teams to be able to get their practices in, we have to stagger their practices. So on our one field, we have to start our practices at 3, but then sometimes some of the teams don't have the ability to go on until much later, maybe 8 or 9 o'clock, they're not done. And then it precludes them from having dinners with their families, getting home at a reasonable hour, starting homework at a reasonable hour. And this is a way to start practices earlier across the board for girls teams and boys teams, JV and varsity, and get it all done at a more reasonable hour.
You just want more than one field?
Yes.
Okay.
Just a point of order for
as
now.
most schools have.
What I want to say is I want, when people raise their hands, you can direct your question to Stacy or to Terry from now on. I guess, we can just go back and forth. I just want to establish that structure for the rest of this discussion. I see a hand raised. I see Tess Taylor.
Hi, thank you, Colby. Thank you, Stacy, and thank you, Terry, for being here. I have one request, one comment, and one question for Stacy. So the comment is, I made this at our Plum meeting on August 9th. I would very much appreciate the LA City planning numbers being included in the agenda for members of the public to be able to review these documents and dive a little deeper, and or the council files. And it would be very helpful, Robin, if you could make mention of that in the meeting minutes tonight. That's my request. My comment, Stacy, is you said that some people see this as an abuse of the historic process. Well, I think Terry has made a pretty good case that this is a historic site and is therefore worthy of preservation. So I don't see this as an abuse. But my question for you, Stacy, is this. At our August 9th Planning and Land Use meeting, when you presented, you made a point of saying that the redeveloped property will prioritize public access, quote. What exactly does that mean? Because continued access by the community is what makes this so important, and the preservation of open space. Could you please define prioritizes public access for us? Thank you.
Sure. I wanted to just mention your first thing about the abuse of the historic process. Terry's done a phenomenal job. And we agree on many of the historic elements on the site. Our application that was put forth before the city last March, before March of 2020, we called for the preservation of the golf ball lights, of the corner, that historic cafe, the clubhouse. So all of this is common ground, I think, that we all can share, and that we all can look forward to going forward, knowing that that will all be preserved. The abuse of it is, this is maybe what some people have said. So I don't want to, I don't want it coming from me. That's just something that I've heard, and I was trying to answer Robin's question.
I don't see it, but go ahead. I'm
Sure.
interested in your answer to my question.
Yeah, so as far as prioritization of community access, Harvard Westlake students won't even step foot on the property until closer to 2:30 or 3 in the afternoon. So you're looking at 5 days a week of school days where a Harvard Westlake student won't be on that facility until 3 in the afternoon. That means it's prioritized for community access: tennis, swimming, track and field, throwing a frisbee, using the park space. That's prioritization of the community. Harvard Westlake sports teams will have the priority between 3 and 6 or 7 p.m. depending on the day.
Okay. So when you say prioritize public access, that means the members of the public will be able to use it up until 2:33 p.m. ish when the students come online. Is that what that means?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
So by prioritizing public access, what you mean is that the public will have the use of those facilities up until 2:30 or 3 p.m. on weekdays until students come online. Is that accurate?
That would be so I don't know if you've reviewed our website at www.hwriverpark.com. So there's athletic amenities on the site, and the site is about 16 acres. Of the 16 acres, there is a 6-acre public park that Harvard Westlake is building for the community. That is open sunrise to sundown for the community.
Okay.
This will be maintained and secured 24/7. So that's another prioritization for the community on this property. The actual sports facilities will have prioritization for the Harvard Westlake students between like 3, 6, 7 o'clock, depending on the sport, depending on the day of the week. And then the community will, depending upon what's agreed upon in the CUP, tennis will probably then still be able to go on later in the night once Harvard Westlake teams are done at that, and the community can come back and use the courts at that point too. So the community will have tennis access starting in the morning all the way, again, till that 3 o'clock time frame, and then again at the night, once in the evening, once the students have finished. And back to just the use of historic process, Harvard, we don't need a historic designation for the community to get leverage. That's what's considered abuse. The community has always had a seat at our table, and that's been Harvard Westlake's commitment from the beginning. Before we ever submitted the plans, we spent over 2 years of doing community outreach to the neighbors immediately adjacent to this property, to the Studio City community and beyond. We've had hundreds and hundreds of individual meetings, Zoom meetings during the pandemic, lunch meetings. From the beginning, we've made that commitment to meet with anybody who's interested in meeting with us, hearing from them. We've made adjustments to our plans based on community input, and we will continue to work with the community moving forward.
Thank you. I'm going to move on to Kevin. He's had his hand raised a long time, and we have a lot of other hands. Hi, Kevin.
Hey, thank you. Thank you, Stacy. I mean, it's a very compelling, argument for the school. And I think that, this is so tough. I mean, it sounds like eventually you guys are going to get your conditional use permit, and most likely this will go forward. But I just wanted to say that I think it's it's possible to still be a supporter of Harvard Westlake and everything you guys stand for, but also not to want to see this property change in a way that it never has. And it's been such a staple in the area. So again, it's very compelling what you're saying. And I understand the effort that's been made to, you know, for more public access and more things to do and everything like that. But again, I think this is a tough decision. And, you know, to Robin's point, you know, what exactly does voting for the historical designation do to you guys, and what doesn't it do? And it probably won't stop it. And again, I totally respect and understand and appreciate all the attention to, you know, preserving elements of this property. But just once again, I think it's possible to still support and love Harvard Westlake, but also to want to see that property maybe stay the same. So anyway, I just thought that I should say that. It's a very complex thing. And it's not, you hate Harvard Westlake or something like that. It's just.
Thank you, Kevin. That sounds very reasonable.
I see Nick, hand up. Hi, Nick.
Hey guys, pretty new to this though. I have to say that, you know, I've hit golf balls with Jim Brown there before, and I just love that place. And it just is such a part of the character of Studio City. It's part of where we live. And I'm just so attached to it as something that I go to on a regular basis. And I'm just curious, you know, it sounds like what you're building is just a really nice version of Beeman Park. So why don't you go spruce up Beeman Park and use that? And it's sort of like my initial reaction to it. It's like, you want to take this thing that means so much to so many people, and there's a park that if you literally, sounds to me like if you took that 16-acre plan and just redid it to a public park and then say, okay, Harvard Westlake gets, you know, this and that on their schedule and kind of kill two birds with one stone there. I don't know. I just had to say that. And I guess my biggest question is, what happens if you just decide one day, man, you know what? We said we were going to keep it open in the community, but it costs too much money and, you know, forget it. We're not going to do it. And then what do we do? You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's not something you can just do and just say you're going to do, pay lip service to, and then walk away from. And what is our guarantee that you're not going to do that?
Yeah, so part of the city's conditional use permit is we must comply with, you know, probably a very, very lengthy list of orders for this property, including public access, including limitations on times and hours and events, etc., and minimizing any adverse impacts that this project could have on the community as well. So this will all be taken into account for in our CUP that we must be held accountable to by the city of Los Angeles. Or we'll lose our CUP, we'll lose our ability to operate that facility. And Nick, you're right in the sense that it is almost like a public park, but that's completely privately funded. Where in the city of Los Angeles are you going to get 24-hour maintenance and security?
And okay, Fred. Wait, Fred.
Very, very fast. Stacy, 2 questions. Do you know how much longer the golf course will be in operation? And second question was back to Tessa's first question, which I don't think you really answered, about when the public will have access to the property. We know you've said many times the Harvard will have it from 3 to 7, 8, whatever. But does that mean that the public will have it from 8 o'clock in the morning till 2 o'clock every day? And what about the weekends? Can you just give an answer, if you know, about the times where the public will have access? We already know when the students will, but what about the public? And how long more will the golf course be open? And thanks again for your presentation.
Oh, sure. So hi. So yes, golf, as far as how much longer, the golf course is losing money every month. The school is losing money every month. We are not golf course operators. So it's not going to be an indefinite golf use, as I've said. I'm not sure how much longer, you know, especially now with the drought and maintenance and the water that it takes on this facility. I honestly don't know how much longer.
Less than a year, perhaps more than a year?
Could be. I don't know.
Okay.
I was told I
And
was going to be able to answer the same question that Stacy was asked about.
oh, Terry might know more than me as far as
I
how long
actually
it
know
will
that the
stay
golf
open.
course has made more money in the last 2 years than it has in the last 10. And that comes from the Becker brothers who are still managing it. They have a contract to manage it. The golf course is not losing money. The school is a nonprofit. They do not pay property tax on that property because they utilize it for their own students. But I just wanted to
and we
address.
do know the Weddington
I'm sorry, Stacey, I
family.
didn't interrupt you.
I'm
Just
sorry.
give me a minute, honey. Just give me a minute. I'll just be very brief. Another thing is I will read exactly from page 31 of Harvard Westlake's initial study, which can be found on the Save Weddington website, in terms of when the public can use this property, when not in use by the school or rented out, and for pre-approved Studio City-based organizations. And that goes for the gymnasium, the swimming pool, the athletic fields, and the tennis courts. By reservation for things that are pre-approved. This will not be an open facility. It will be very, very restricted. And I think and this is very disingenuous. And again, this is about the project. This is why we do want leverage. Kevin, to your point, yes, they do need a CUP. And yes, we hope it's 28 pages long. And we do need every bit of community support to find that, can we save what is important to our community historically about this facility? I'm 64 years old. When they talk about, oh, we're all going to be able to have all these other sports, I don't see myself joining a senior lacrosse team or water polo team. Tennis and golf are multi-generational. You can play all your life. During COVID, we've learned this is one of the few things that was completely COVID safe that we could get out. And we're not done with COVID, folks. We don't know what's coming down the pipe. So to not promote, in 2021, we got to look at things differently than we did in the past. Is it prudent to cut down 350 trees that provide 38% tree canopy to this neighborhood and replace them with native trees that only grow 35 feet in total? We're talking about 100-foot California pines and eucalyptus. And yes, there's some Mexican fan palms. And no, they don't eat small children. These are established 70-year-old trees. So, there's so much about this. But honest to God, I really am a history buff. I didn't say this was historical. The experts designated it. They wrote a nomination. The nomination is for the whole property. They want to slice it down, Harvard Westlake, because they want to use just the golf club house and the front yard, which is a putting green. And they want to gather up all the landmark lights and put them like Disneyland all behind the that's what their plan shows. I think there's a way to make Harvard Westlake happy, maybe not as happy as they would be if they got everything they wanted. And I'm sure people in their position are used to getting everything they wanted, but I think there is a way for a compromise. It doesn't stop development. We need to be listened to. And if you don't think we need leverage in this situation, just listen to what you've been told. And the questions were never answered about what does it do? What does a historical nomination do?
Thanks, Gary. We have one more. We have a question from the board. We have a Robin question.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I am very perplexed. Listening to both of you, you both make a great case. I've lived in Toluca Lake for 30 years. I remember when Councilman Rue wanted to proclaim the Bob Hope estate a historical home. I remember Linda Hope not being very happy about that because it meant that there was nothing she could do to develop the property once it was sold. So I've seen how deeming something a historical site on a private property tends to be a real issue. So I'm kind of concerned there. I've also seen where Rick Caruso went into the Palisades, which is a big community, very neighborhood. He developed this beautiful property. It's maintained beyond with music and grass and landscaping. It's all funded by the Caruso property. It is absolutely 100% open to the public at any time. It's all part of the development. I know they did that at the the Montage, where the park between the hotel, that's also a public park. So, yes, they may have some restrictions. Yes, they may host some events. Yes, they may do lots of things. But I have seen over and over again where when the community speaks very loudly and says, we want this to be this way, and the developer says, okay, I'm hearing what you're saying. I'll keep the ice cream store. I'll keep the building, I'll keep the movie theater. You know, I think we can all work together, but I'm a little concerned about the historic aspect of it because of the complications of doing a full development. And lastly, the last thing I want to say, and I'm going to talk about it in public safety, this community is going to be 100 years old in 2 years. Many, many, many of our trees are between 80 and 100 years old. I have a tree on my street that has dropped branches because of the age of this tree, because of the lack of funds of the city to come and maintain our trees. It blocked my entire street for an entire day till the city came and picked it up, only because it blocked the street. So these beautiful 70, 80, 90, 100-year-old trees are going to become a real problem. And it's not going to be the city that's going to come and maintain them because they don't have the funds. So if, you know, they've got very old trees on their property, maybe Harvard Westlake might maintain them. That's all I'm going to say about that.
I had a question for Stacy. Stacy, how much unlimited kind of open park space will there be if your development goes forward? Meaning that, like, not, is there any unlimited, you know, walk right on anytime you want to kind of space? Or what kind of acreage is there?
So that portion is about 6 acres. So it's a 6-acre park designed by Mia Lair, who's the preeminent landscape architect regarding anything with the LA River. Please take a look. We have a water feature that cleans the water that we're going to be recycling and reusing and storing. It's 1 million gallons. It will be the largest privately funded water system and cistern in the city of Los Angeles. This park will have a water feature similar to what's at the History Museum downtown. It's the landscape, all native. We're going to be excited to share with you next time we meet a lot of environmental endorsements that we have for this project, and just repeating that from day one about preserving the historic features. We don't need a historic designation to engage with your community. It's part of who we are as a school. And we will continue to meet with everyone, whether there's a historic designation or not, and incorporate as much good feedback and reasonable feedback we can get into this project.
So that those 6 acres are available as if it were a city park. It's
correct. Sunrise to sundown, all privately funded and maintained.
Okay. And then I had a quick question. When you say, I think real quick, the 11 neighborhood councils who submitted CISs, can you tell me, like that's a lot of neighborhood councils, which you need a couple of them. Just I mean, I'm assuming pretty much that's the entire valley. I'm thinking.
Well, Sun Valley, Greater Valley Glen, Encino. Yeah, off the top of my head, I'm not going to remember all of them. But if you go on the city file, 9 of them have already been posted. Some of them, like yourselves, are waiting for their portal information because they've just had a board change. But they're all listed.
But when you say they approved the CIS that you're requesting,
Panorama City. Pardon me.
You're saying that these 11 neighborhood councils approved the CIS.
Correct. 8 of them have already been posted in the portal, and 3 more are they've been voted on and approved, but they're working their way to putting them on the portal. I do want to say, because it's always a shiny object that says 6 acres of park, I want you to know that it is not 6 continuous acres. It's the 30-foot setback around the perimeter of the property that is cobbled together. And on the north and west side, it will have a 8-foot solid wall with a 4-foot solid fence. So that'll be a 12-foot barrier on 2/3 of the property. The park will be the 30-foot between that wall and the curb.
I'm sorry, that's categorically untrue. That's untrue. I'm sorry.
You just have to wait your turn. It'll have all the ambiance of walking behind Costco. Also, the tennis courts are included as part of the park acreage. And this is all on the initial study that has been submitted to the city. This is all public document.
Okay. Stacy, can you elaborate a little bit, or do you have any visual aids for us, Stacy? On
I do. If she doesn't, I've got their plan. I've got their plan from their website. If she doesn't.
Stacy, are you there? I was asking Stacy.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I just wonder if you had any
I
visual.
appreciate Terry's enthusiasm, but I'm sorry her facts are wrong. I encourage you to go to our website,
www.hwriverpark.com. Go read the initial study.
No, read the frequently asked questions and read the truths about our project. But I know we're kind of veering away and speaking more about the project than the motion, and we're happy to come back and do that.
Stacy, would you mind repeating that website?
Sure, it's www.hwriverpark.org.
Thank you.
.org or .com.
And then one more question just for me, Terry. When you say a seat at the table, so what you're saying is, it doesn't mean you're going to, the CIS it just puts you at, again, gives you a voice in this development. It doesn't necessarily, basically the conversation will continue if you achieve the CIS or if you achieve what you want to achieve. 2 minutes or less, and this is my last question for you, and then we'll go to the public, the stakeholders. Can you just define a little bit better seat at the table, what that would look like in real quick in 2 minutes?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of what we've been talking about that is not about the historical, about the amenities or the sports or whatever, that will be dealt with the CUP, with the DEIR. The historical nomination is just that. It is recognizing the nomination made by the Historical Commission for the City of Los Angeles that have designated that this meets the criteria. Stacy never answered the question directly about why are they so, why do they not want this? And when she says, well, you just have to trust us. I mean, here in Los Angeles, the check in the mail is kind of like a well-known phrase. So I think that, like Nick said, we need to have an opportunity to have the community heard, and the CISs will make a difference to City Council, and it'll make them take a harder look at this project as to what is the best thing for our San Fernando communities. And that's what will happen as a result of it. I'm a history buff. I love this property. I see a lot of beautiful things in Los Angeles that get torn down because no one speaks up. So all I want to see is how much of this can we preserve? It doesn't stop development. There's no reason that they should be opposing it so much. And to call us abusive and opponents, Stacey, this is my home.
Thank you, Jerry. We have one more quick question from the board, and then I'm going to the public because they've been waiting very, very patiently with their hands up. I'm sure they're getting very tired. Fred, here we go.
Okay, I'm always very quickly. So just to clarify, at our Plum meeting, there was only one no vote, by the way. There were 2 yes votes and 3 abstains. Wanted to clarify that. Number 2 is, I just lost my train of thought. What was my second question? I wanted to clarify. I might have to just forget about it. Oh, yes. Don't forget, everyone, that this historical nomination process was started in 2012, long before Harvard Westlake bought this in 2017. So there's nothing against what they're doing. This has happened long ago. I just wanted to remind everyone of that. Thank you.
Thanks, Fred. We're going to the stakeholders. So up top, I see Philip. Thank you for your patience, Philip. You have a ability. You're unmuted.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
I hear you, Philip.
Good evening. Thank you so much. I've participated in a few of these conversations, and I'm a lifelong resident of the San Fernando Valley, lived in Toluca Lake for more than 10 years. I learned to play golf at Weddington Golf and Tennis, Studio City Golf and Tennis, play tennis there. I take my daughters there for a hot dog. I try to get them to play golf, but they like the hot dogs. I like the hamburgers, and that's still going to be there. What I want to speak to as somebody who loves this city, there are historic resources in our city. Los Angeles City Hall, Union Station, the Griffith Observatory, the Egyptian Theater, Capitol Records. A pitch and putt golf course is not historic. The view along Whitsett has historic and tremendous, memories for me. And if you go to the website and you've looked at the plans and someone who's a resident and was concerned, it's going to look the same. Recreation, the purpose of this site stays the same. When Fred, and by the way, Fred, I love the vintage Ashworth shirt that you're wearing. And John Ashworth and Fred Couples, probably would tell you that your shirt is not historic, but it's very cool, right? And you're going to keep it in your closet. The site was for recreation, and it's going to stay recreation. And to say that this is a public site to imply that it's like Beeman Park. Are you kidding me? Beeman Park. When's the last time you took your kids on the field at Beeman Park and had to take them through the potholes of the soccer field? Or the fact that the tennis courts there are 50 years old and they're historic. I know every place on that tennis court at Beeman Park where I'm probably going to trip and fall because of a crack. Do we preserve them? No. Could the city do better? Of course. That's taxpayer dollars. You now get a 6-acre park next to the river that our taxpayer dollars are going to through an amazing project to revitalize the Los Angeles River from Canoga Park to Los Angeles with the likes of Frank Gehry and Mia Lehrer and Rios and just all kinds of terrific stuff. And the private sector is paying for it, folks. They're paying for a 6-acre park along the river, and it's in our neighborhood. And all the while, we don't get condos or senior housing or apartments on the balance of the site that has been proposed for the last, I don't know, 10, 15 plus years. And I think Terry is your name who made is arguing for the historic nature. Look, the reality is I can't go push my daughter through that spot right now, right? You need to spend $15, $18 on the weekends to play a round of golf there. I can't go walk my dog through the park. You gotta play golf or you gotta play tennis. Now I can go for a walk and a jog. I can still play tennis with my kids. And I got a 6-acre park right there along the river. And I live 5 minutes away. So you know what? Kind of seems like a win-win to me. As much as I'll always remember, my first hole-in-one on the 9th hole at Whitsett, right? The alternative is a big brown weed patch. This is the better alternative. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Phil. Next up, we have Julie. Julie, you are unmuted. Hi, Julie. I'm going to ask you to unmute. Hi, Julie. I know you've been there a long time.
I've been waiting a long time. Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Excellent. Thanks to everybody. My name's Giuliano. I'm a 24-year Toluca Lake homeowner. I'm a small business owner in Toluca Lake, and I'm a longtime member of the Toluca Lake Homeowners Association. I'm also a former GTLNC board member, so I want to thank all of you for all the hard work you do to give all of us a voice. I want to say tonight that I strongly support the Cultural Historic Monument designation for the entire property at Weddington Golf and Tennis, in line with the Cultural Historical Commission's recommendation. Most of us here are not, with all due respect, cultural historic landmark mavens. What we think tonight, to me, is not really the issue, but what the commission says is the issue. So we're fortunate to have the recommendation from them because they're the experts. They say it's a cultural historic monument. I feel we should embrace this totally, because the matter before us is about all the neighborhoods, the people having a voice in how we honor and preserve our precious LA landmarks. Let's not lose the forest for the trees here, although it sounds like we will be losing a lot of trees. Weddington Golf and Tennis is a historic landmark. As many of us know, it was built as a post-World War II recreational space, and it does retain unique features of that time. And whether we can walk there or can't walk there, or will walk there or won't walk there, we've lost too many of these city monuments over the years, and we need to support the designation. This can only help us as citizens to enjoy and protect the cultural legacy of this city that's been too often ignored or minimized, whatever it is. And I want to, as I speak tonight, reflect my clear understanding that tonight isn't about what Harvard Westlake wants to do with the space or what the Studio City constituency wants them not to do. What matters now is that the facility has inestimable value, and it's been designated as a cultural historical landmark in its current state as public recreational space and rare open and green space. It is a space that inarguably seniors, young people, and everyone else can enjoy. It's been designated a cultural historic monument. That should be supported. This is critical, especially now when we have COVID, which one of the board members mentioned is going to be with us for years to come, or maybe it was Terry. We are a city of Googie architecture, post-World War II architecture, modern architecture. We should honor that. And I have to say respectfully that having sat through the meeting last week and sat for a long time tonight, I bristle at the characterization or the veiled characterization or the non-characterization or the characterization by someone else, not Stacy, of the designation of this as a leverage grab or an abuse of the cultural historic process. If the committee says it's a monument, period. I feel that our board should support that. And of course, this could just as easily be considered perhaps that if we're casting aspersions, that perhaps Harvard Westlake opposes the designation for what may be their own agendized reasons. Let's not go there. Because otherwise, what's the problem? We're all Angelenos, and clearly such a designation would only enhance the prestige of this property of theirs. But the bottom line here tonight is the support of our already designated cultural historic monument. What are we as a community and as the board gonna do in this moment when the monument status has been decided by the city? This is not about the Save the Weddington group, whatever their name is, and Harvard Westlake. So that's what I'd say. And just one side note respectfully to Robin Allen about things like the Palisades development, again, very respectfully to the board, that developments by developers and many others, for example, by Caruso, they're undeniably beautiful and well-maintained, but they're Disneylands. And we already have a Disneyland, and Weddington Golf and Tennis is real, and we have it now. Finally, I would say as a side note, not tonight, because this is about supporting the cultural historic monument designation, we should inquire a lot more closely as to what was meant last week when Stacy talked about access to the public being granted, quote, when Harvard Westlake is not using it, or words to that effect. And what she said this week is expanded upon in response to questions from Tess. We can put that aside. That's for the chair. That's for another time. But I respectfully urge everyone to please support this important cause to help us all preserve our precious patrimony. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Next, we have David Wheatley.
Colby, are we doing any sort of timing for the 3 minutes?
Yes. We're going to ask the speakers to keep it at 3 minutes, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Colby. Thank you for the speakers. I've listened to a lot of pitches by developers, and they all sound basically the same. First of all, they acknowledge how many friends they have on the commission, like this lady did tonight, and how great it is to see see so many familiar faces, and how great their project is going to be for the public. And then when it gets down to the questions, the real questions, well, how much public access? They start to tread water and come up with nothing. I'm really hoping that this board, this council, will vote to support the historic designation, and that you'll be really, really discerning and discriminating with the kind of comments that people make. This one guy says that he went there for years, and it's going to be a shame to see it go. The developers make it sound like these things are going to get built no matter what. This is to take away the energy and the fire that it takes to defend our neighborhoods. These things can be pushed back for years, and they're supposed to be pushed back for years. The fact that Stacy said they've had hundreds of meetings and they're still here means each of those meetings was unsuccessful. It's not so great that they had them. And lunch meetings, how sweet that is. I wonder if they paid for the lunches. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But still, for every meeting they had, it did not work out because we're here. And as far as having a seat at the table, that sounds like nothing. A seat at the table, it'll probably have as little influence, that seat, as the people who are saying right now that this should be designated as a special place. So I really think Harvard Westlake, they bought the wrong property, just like a lot of developers do. Hey, wouldn't it be great to buy Weddington? And they did. Somebody at some board or out on the golf course somewhere else said, hey, let's buy this place. Then we can do what we want. Oh, we'll get all those city problems, that community stuff. We'll hire people to get rid of them. They won't bother us anymore. Besides, it's private property. We can do what we want. This isn't really provided by private interests or private money. This is a nonprofit. This is paid for in large part by taxpayer dollars. We should be having a lot more say in what they're doing and what they're trying to do. I really hope that you'll grant this CIS, and 11 CISs already passed. Shows what a terrible project this is for Harvard Westlake and what a terrible mistake they've made by trying to even do this. I hope by my coming down on them like this won't make you feel sorry for them, because they do not deserve it. They need to be buying something else somewhere else. And if their students are going to go on buses or carpool from the other campus to this, they can bus or carpool somewhere else. Why do they have to come here? They don't have to come here. They can go somewhere else. And Stacy's had a whole week to tell us how many hours and the public is going to have access. And she missed that opportunity. 3 minutes, thank you. She missed that opportunity to do it. That means she can't do it, and it means she won't do it. Thanks.
Thank you, David. Next, we have Patty. Hi, Patty.
Hello. I just
have to keep it at 3 minutes, please.
I'll keep it under, actually. I just want to say, it's not about being against the development. We're not against Harvard Westlake developing. We're just against them developing it on this property. They want to build a facility that has a walk-around park with 12 to 14 foot walls around this walk-around park that is not showing up on their schematic. And among other things, they want to have a 500 space parking garage underneath. So, but I want to go back to just historical, like Julie said, it is about the historical designation, and we'll go from there after about the development. Thank you.
Thanks, Patty. Next, I see Adele. Oh,
Hi.
Adele Slaughter, yes.
Can you hear me?
You got 3 minutes.
Hi.
Yes.
Hi, my name, I'll probably be less.
Okay.
My name is Adele Slaughter, and I am passionate about the historical natural green space of Weddington Golf and Tennis Club. I strongly support the nomination for the property to be declared a cultural historic monument. Studio City Golf and Tennis is a part of our culture. There are actually 100-year-old trees right next to the clubhouse and 80-year-old heritage trees all over the place. And they need to be preserved, not just because they sequester carbon at a rate that any replacement trees won't for another 50 years. And we've all been reading about climate change lately, but because if you take a walk on that golf course, you can feel the history of the place. A friend of mine, Johnny Blue, who lives in Toluca Lake, was on the call, but he couldn't stay on because he has to put his kids to bed. He wanted me to ask this question. What kind of a precedent will this set for other neighborhoods when private entities choose to take over public and public access places for their own private use? It is, even though it's privately owned, it has been publicly accessed for over 70 years. And what about public schools and their kids? They have been using the tennis courts and they aren't, did I just break up?
No, you're still here.
Okay. And Harvard Westlake has been not allowing public schools that have been using their site to come on and play tennis lately in the past like couple of months. The Apaches say wisdom sits in places. I feel Studio Golf and Tennis is one such place. And just in terms of all of what's been said about them meeting with us, I have met with them many, many times, and they have never listened to my suggestions. My objection is that this is overdevelopment and does not fit into our neighborhood. I estimate around 80,000 Angelinos actually play there from 4 to 94. They play golf and tennis without a membership or without unilateral approval needed by a private school. The athletic activities are soccer, lacrosse, field hockey. They're for 20-year-olds. My field hockey days are actually over. In the NOP, the Notice of Preparation, Harvard Westlake says that there will be a swim club members and open to Studio City community groups. This is not public access. The school will make unilateral decisions about who uses the property. That is not public usage. You've heard they're building 12 and 11-foot walls around the property with a security booth that the public will have to walk through. That's not public access. And I ask you, if Harvard Westlake says, and they clearly have said, that the property is historic, an historic monument, why are they fighting this? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Jim Fitzpatrick. Hi, Jim. Are you there? Without a call.
Thank you. I just have a quick comment about parking. Without seeing a schematic that shows the parking, whether you have 500 or 100 spaces, that's going to open up the neighborhood to a lot of traffic. Let's face it, that's a huge amount of traffic that will be descending there. And whether you have practices and their bus, we know, having coached football and girls basketball at a public park, people will not go back to the school to change. They're going to drive their cars there, and they're going to leave that space with their cars. Furthermore, if you walk along that path, which I do along the walk by the river, there are big cracks in the walls there. I'm not sure, I'm not an engineer, but can you sustain a subterranean parking lot in what we call a soft soil place in the valley? The next earthquake could impede all that. So that's all I have to say about logistics.
Hey, Jim. I'm going to go to Stacy. See here, Stacy's back. Hi, Stacy. Oops. There you go.
Oh, I wasn't sure if I was still able to respond or not.
Yeah, if you.
Colby, during this moment, I think we're just doing public comment.
Yeah, she was in the public range. Okay, let me go back to John Smith.
Hello.
Hi, John. You're on.
I tuned in late, so when I tuned in, I think I heard Stacy talking about security, which prompted me to chime in. So currently on the property, the Weddington golf and tennis property, there's a gentleman who lives in the shed on their property. And this particular person last year was arrested for 2 assault with a deadly weapons charges and also stalking a woman. As early as last Friday, he threatened a homeless advocate, and he lives along the river, and he lives on their property. So much for their security. They don't even know about this. And this is a really dangerous man. So anyway, totally support the historic nomination. And I think it's a good idea that everybody does go and look at their drawings on their website. And when you do, look at it with an eye for something called forced perspective. This is a trick of developers to make buildings look smaller and everything look glorious. If you look at, I live directly behind the Sportsman's Lodge project, and what they drew up and what they built are 2 totally different things. And anyway, I would certainly, you should look at those drawings with that in mind. As far as them losing money on the golf course, I don't know. This is an entity that's worth over $400 million. So I'm sure they have figured out a way to make money over there. But also there was I believe, an ask by Krikorian as a public benefit to build a ramp on the north side and for Harvard Westlake to take care of that property. Well, that's all county property. So I don't think they may be able to take care of it, but they certainly cannot secure it. And I've attended lots and lots of Harvard Westlake meetings on the projects they want to build. I spent a lot of time with the group that was fighting their project up on Coldwater. And this is a group that is very skilled in word salad. What they say words, but they really have no meaning behind them. And a really disingenuous group. I think if you went to the Studio City Neighborhood Council's YouTube channel and looked up all of the videos with Harvard Westlake, it would do you a service to see what really is going on. Anyway, a lot to say. My thoughts are scattered, but thank you.
Thank you, John. Janine. Hi, Janine. Welcome to the discussion. We're going to keep it 3 minutes or less.
Of course, Colby. Thank you so much. I've lived in the East Valley for 26 years. I personally have spent time and I learned to golf at Weddington when I honestly couldn't afford to go elsewhere. Later on in life, I got lucky to get to live near Weddington about 20 years ago. And I'm always struck by the level of community, this really generational property engenders. It is a historic property. The commission has stated that it meets not one, but two of the criterion set before any property to be evaluated by the city of Los Angeles. And that is in the physical sense, but there's really another sense, and I think it's a more important one. It is a property that generationally ties family and community together, and together through 7 decades. People from all over Los Angeles, like me when I started, not only come, but they come with multi-generations. And that is a very valuable thing, and one that has not been well preserved in our city. I have to comment about Stacy's presentation, because I'm not sure who the people are. She doesn't note the people, just that there are people who see this as this historic nomination that started before 2012 and really started solidifying in 2012 as an abuse of the historic process. Over 13,000 people have signed a petition and going strong. We're going to meet a 15,000 goal, very soon, supporting this nomination. So bunches of people, I guess, are the abusers. I don't know. These are stakeholders and residents throughout the San Fernando Valley. Over 10 neighborhood councils have supported this nomination as well. So I don't know. There's a whole lot of people out there that do not see this nomination as abuse of any historic process. I am a resident who lives right by this facility. And quite frankly, the 6-acre thing needs to be looked into by your board, because if you look on the city plan that was submitted, was reviewed in the NOP, that would give you a lot more information than go into the Harvard Westlake website.
It's about 3 minutes. I'm sorry, Janine, we have to move forward.
Okay, thank you so much. And thank you for considering this nomination.
Eric? Eric, you are next. Let's see. Eric, you are unmuted.
Thank you for your time tonight. Hi, I'm Eric. I was born and raised in the Valley. I'm in opposition to this historic designation. So the site is potentially considered historic for post-World War II public recreation. I don't understand how that is any different from what Harvard Westlake is proposing to do with the site. Isn't Harvard Westlake providing greater usage by the public than its own students? I enjoy the driving range as much as anyone, but find it objectionable that a golf course can be considered historic simply because it is old. I appreciate all that Harvard Westlake is doing to keep the site available to the public and to provide modern, new facilities and activities. I'm used to buildings being considered historic, monuments, documents, and even some locations. But a par 3 golf course that wasn't designed by anyone of renown or isn't associated with any significant events, doesn't it defeat the purpose of designation if Harvard Westlake could decide to close the property tomorrow? Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you, Eric. Next up, we have a phone number. The last 3 digits are 334. I don't have a name, but.
Is there a limit on public comment? Because this meeting is going to go till.
334. Let me see. You are from unmuted. Okay, oh, there you are. Hello?
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi. You have 3 minutes. If you can please just.
Great, thank you. Hi, everyone. I'll make this quick. I know this has been a long meeting, and I commend you all for sticking in there. Thank you so much. I just wanted to take a minute to thank everyone for considering this issue and sincerely hope this board will help preserve this historic green open space in the heart of the Valley. I would be remiss if I didn't quickly address some of the points raised by the developer. First off, the claims about it being preserving recreational open space. I don't know about you folks, but I just don't consider 11 or 12-foot walls to be conducive to open space. I think your eyes like to glaze across a property, and that's open space. Otherwise, the developer claims it will operate a 6-acre park, but that 6 acres is not continuous. It's kind of piecemeal together by a trail around the property and a small swatch by the river. So it's not a park as we all think of one like Beaman or Weddington. But back to the matter at hand, I frequently marvel at this property's beauty. The facility is always packed. The site is used by Angelenos from all over the city, and there's really nothing else like it in the San Fernando Valley. I learned to play golf and tennis at Weddington, and I hope one day I can bring my kids to the site. I hope that we can count on the support of this neighborhood council to stand in solidarity with other San Fernando Valley councils and make our collective voice heard, that we agree with the Cultural Heritage Commission's recommendation for historic cultural monument designation in order to protect and preserve the historic value of Weddington for future generations. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much. Moving on to Lori Cohn. Lori, you are
Hi. Yes, Lori Cohn. Hi. Thank you so much for hearing us tonight.
One more public comment, and then we're moving to a vote. Go ahead, Lori.
Okay. Thank you so much for considering this. I do hope you support the cultural historic nomination. This property now more than ever has extra value because not only of its historic value, but with COVID, future variants, climate warming, we're just losing too many of these kinds of places. To lose the 200 trees or whatever they're going to take out and plant smaller trees and hope someday they get big, it's just the wrong time in the wrong place. So please protect this, help protect as much as we can by voting to support this nomination. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. And our last public comment, our last comment until we go to vote is Johnny Blue. Get him on. Johnny,
I'm here.
You are, go ahead.
Hey, hello to all you guys. I remember some of you from the Toluca Lake run for council a couple of years ago before the pandemic. Can you hear me all?
We do, yeah. Let's keep this at under 3 minutes, please.
Yeah, I actually have a quick thing because really my question and sort of what is more important to me personally is Adele had mentioned it earlier, was that what kind of precedent this sets where you have schools, and I had plenty of friends who went to Harvard Westlake, I went to Beverly, that what kind of precedent this sets for basically schools with money, private developers, private entities to come in, take over either public spaces or take over public access spaces and basically use them for private use. I say this because, I send my son, he's 5 years old, to Rio Vista Elementary. It's a public school. My concern really overall is what kind of precedent this sets for allowing, basically people with money to have this type of access to access places like this. Where does that leave public schools? Where does that leave the idea for our general public, for people in this city, even for developers to say, you know what, maybe we should put something forward where the public schools can partake in this property a little bit, where the kids from those schools can have a field to play on and to practice on. So for me, I would hope that part of the focus of this project on a grander scale, meaning including other communities, including Toluca Lake and other areas in the San Fernando Valley, that consider this when we're approaching these type of projects, not just for the historical value, which I think is definitely important, but also the kind of message it says toward everybody of what Los Angeles stands for. Thanks. That's basically the what I wanted to get by. Thank you for taking the time.
Thanks, John.
Yeah.
Okay, that concludes our comments, public and board. And we are going to read the motion. Motion C, the Greater Saluk Lake Neighborhood Council supports the Cultural Heritage Commission, CHC, decision to nominate the entire 16 acres of Weddington Studio City Golf and Tennis Club located at 4141 Whitsett Avenue, Studio City, California 91604 to be included on the list of historic cultural monuments. Do I have a...
No, we have that. We're just going to go right to a vote. I'm going to call everyone's name.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to start with Catherine. Catherine?
Yes.
Arthur?
Abstain.
Robin? Yes. Nick?
Yes.
Ren?
No.
Fred?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Lee?
I support community impact report. The reason, even though it's not in Kokorian's area, it will jam up traffic, and I support it. I mean, I support making it the impact report.
Hey, thank you, Lee. Susanna is excused. Paige?
Yes.
Tess?
Everybody's voting for it, so it's good.
Tess?
Yes, you're on mute. Tess, you're on mute.
You're muted.
Sorry. Yes. Emphatically yes.
Thank you. Kevin?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Okay, let me count. Oh, Colby?
I only vote if there's a tie.
Okay, so hold on. So yes is 1, 2.
Oh, wait, what about Nick?
Oh, we call Nick?
Did I not call Nick?
Yeah, you sure did.
Yeah, I did. I did.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. So
That's
Nick,
okay.
did Nick vote yes?
Okay, let me read it. Catherine, yes. Arthur, abstain. Robin, yes. Nick, yes. Ren, no. Fred, yes. Matt, yes. Lee, yes. Susanna's excused. Paige, yes. Tess, yes. Kevin, yes. Sean, yes. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 10 yeses. We have 1 abstain, and we have 1 no. Motion passes. Thank you, everyone. Thank you all. I mean, it was very helpful having this discussion.
Thank you for everyone waited and the public waited.
Yay.
And they were very, very patient. Very important topic. Okay, next up we have Public Safety Committee. That is Robin and I.
Okay, I'll be brief, guys. Again, Officer Delbar again and again and again says, please lock your vehicles. Lock your vehicles, even if it's in a garage. Lock your vehicles, hide your valuables. And if you're parking in a garage, don't leave your keys in the car. So many times when he gets these reports, the first thing he asks is, was your car locked? Did you have your valuables hidden? A lot of times they're not, and that's why we have crime in this area. The other thing, we're still in a COVID, which you heard, so please wear your masks and be respectful of people's space. And lastly, we do have an aging tree problem in Toluca Lake. A lot of our trees are between 80 and 100 years old. They are aging out. When I moved here years ago, we had tons of walnut trees. Those have all aged out and they're pretty much gone. We have to get on top of it because these trees are going to fall and either hurt badly or kill somebody or something or a house. So I'm trying to work with urban forestry to try to identify aging trees. If you have aging trees on your street, send me a picture, tell me where they are, and I will put them on my list. And that's it for public safety. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Next, we have Outreach and Elections, Nick and Paige. Take it away.
Yes. We are looking into outreach and elections. Really the update is we're just trying to figure out what exactly are expenditures that make sense and how to effectively do outreach. And we've done that with the the website so far. The next thing is the social media. That's the next thing that we're going to unpack in the next couple of weeks. I wish we had better answer on how the website gets administered, and I wish it looked like that wasn't going to be a big cost every year, but it does look like it might be the way to do it. I don't know, but we will give you a more of an update next time. Thank you very much.
Paige and Nick, did you have a chance to talk to Tin from TYS? I think I sent the.
Yes, I got his contact information. Thanks for sending that. We have not reached out to him yet. I think Nick and I will just touch base with each other and figure out how to go about that.
Yeah, he'll be very responsive. So just give him a call or email him.
Yeah. And I think the only other thing we really covered at the meeting was we talked about how we might do sort of an audit of our different channels, the audiences that they currently have, and kind of set a baseline. And that way we can talk about productive ways that we might grow those audiences and set some benchmarks for moving forward for, you know, the goal of having more signups for the newsletter, more followers on the social accounts, you know, 1 year from when we started. And that way we have a goal that we can work toward.
Thanks, Paige.
Yeah.
Okay, okay? I think that concludes that. Is that correct, Nick?
Yeah.
You guys,
yeah. There's one other thing, but we'll get to it.
Are you sure? Go ahead if you feel quick.
Yeah, it was just Tess brought up a really good idea for doing report cards, and it's something that we should definitely look into to get a feeling of how people are feeling about Nithya and you know, our elected officials in our specific area, and maybe even about us. So
yeah, I think it'd be great to if you or Tess could come up with a way to do that.
Yeah,
that would be interesting to. You're right. We should have more accountability.
Yeah.
Okay. Environmental affairs. Hi, Catherine.
Sure. We are always looking for new members. Right now, we're doing an every other month schedule just through the end of the year at least. So our next meeting will be October 12th at 6 p.m. And at it, we're actually going to be putting together a list of places that you might want to go in Los Angeles and how to get there without using your own car. So there are a variety of programs around the city, whether it is our fabulous metro and bus system, or even some newer things like the Metro Micro short distance rides that can get you to a transit center from like the end of your street. So you don't have to necessarily walk a long distance to get to a transit hub like a metro station or a bus stop that's on the line that you need to be on. I also do want to just very quickly share my screen so that you can all see the map of where this Metro Micro operates. So it covers our entire Toluca Lake area, just about. There's like a little corner that doesn't get caught. And then also to show you guys where the safe centers are. LA Sanitation has these places where you can go to safely dispose of solvents, automotive, flammable, and electronic waste. There are 7 throughout the Los Angeles area. The closest one that I usually go to is the one in central Los Angeles, which is the Glendale Safe Center. But they're all across the city. And if you check out our newsletter from this week, you can click on the link and find out more information about the safe centers. And then I guess I'll just go right into governmental.
Good idea.
That's all good. Okay. So Tess, please jump in if I'm forgetting anything. Before we go to the motion, I just want to really quickly cover what we are doing the bulk of our work on in governmental, which is updating our bylaws. And we've proposed establishing standing rules to sort of make process a little bit clearer for us, because right now our bylaws are lengthy and confusing, and they don't necessarily answer all the questions we have, like how long people get to speak, or they contradict themselves in some places. So we want to get the bylaws updated, but we also want to establish some standing rules that are more able to be updated as we discover issues with our process. Tess, am I forgetting anything on that front?
No, and the emphasis on procedures is really important because we had some confusion about how to go about scheduling a special meeting just within the last week. And it's not clear exactly how that is supposed to unfold. And since we're all about transparency here, I think it needs to be as transparent as possible and how these things are supposed to function vis-a-vis the board itself, the committee chair, and the committee members. So procedure. Yes, thank you, Catherine.
Thanks. And then the last big item on the agenda for the evening is our motion D. So as Gibson, our Dunn Rep, Department of Neighborhood Empowerment, brought up earlier, the Civic U is back. Neighborhood council members are eligible to attend. It's going to be a series of 3 Thursday evening webinars, September 9th, 23rd, and 30th. So that's next month. And I'll read the motion. We'll get a first and second, and then we'll determine which of our board members are interested in participating. And that will mean we need to amend this motion in order to add their names, because right now it's blank. So motion D, appoint board members blank to attend the 2021 Civic U for neighborhood councils. Do I have a first?
Yes, first.
Thank you.
Tess.
Thank you, Tess. Do I have a second?
Lee, second.
Thank you, Lee. So I will say, as a chair of governmental affairs, I feel like I am obligated to go and learn how our government works. So I would like to be considered as one of the board members that attends it. We can send up to 4 board members to the Civic U because we have to keep it under a majority of quorum. So up to 4 of us can attend.
I would love to attend as well if there's room.
Is anyone else interested? There are 3 Zoom sessions on Thursday evenings, 90 minutes each. Feel like nobody's jumping at this?
It's on my birthday. I mean, it's like, man, it's killer.
That's fair. I completely understand.
If you need to fill a seat, I can fill a seat. So
we don't need to fill the seats. It's if anyone else is interested. I don't want to make it seem like the governmental affairs is closing it off to anyone. Fred, do you want to attend or are you just
sure?
filling
Why
the
not?
seat?
Yeah, if you guys
Okay.
are there, I want to be there.
Great. Then friendly amendment to the motion in order to add our names. So the motion will now read, motion D, appoint board members Tess Taylor, Fred Iberi, and Catherine Hatton to attend the 2021 Civic U for neighborhood councils. Tess and Lee as the first and second. Are you good with those nominations, those appointments?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Great. With that, we'll go to a vote. Robin, do you want to read roll call for the vote?
Sure.
Or is there any discussion, I guess? Anyone else have discussion after this? All right, then let's go to a vote.
Okay. Catherine.
I'll abstain because my name is in the motion.
Arthur.
Yes.
Robin, yes. Nick.
Yes.
Ren.
Yes.
Fred.
Yes.
Matt.
Yes.
Lee.
Affirmative.
Thank you, Lee. Susanna's excused. Paige.
Yes.
Tess.
Yes.
Kevin.
Yes.
And Sean.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
That,
All right.
okay. Is that it?
Was that 1201?
Well, isn't the abstaining a yes?
We still put it at the end. It's a abstention.
Okay. Okay. 1201.
All right, great. That's it for governmental affairs. Our next meeting will be the first Tuesday of September. So that's September 7th at 6:30.
Thank you, Catherine. And any new business? I see Ren's hand is raised.
We actually had two things we kind of skipped over. One, the grievance committee, and the other was number of board members that are allowed on committees. Was it 4 or 5?
I did discuss the grievance committee. Oh, is that what committees and chairs was? That wasn't enough. Okay. Okay. Well, the grievance committee, I reached out to the previous committee. Want to repeat this? And then I heard back from one actually right as about 3 hours ago during our meeting. I haven't had a chance to play the voicemail. Anyway, so that's, and then as far as, are we talking about, when you mentioned that, Ren, you mean the quorum of a quorum? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Is it 4 or 5 that we can have board members as members of committees?
I believe it's 4. I believe it's a low. Actually, no. Here's what we do. We do. Remember this? We make it a. What's the wording?
You just have to designate it as a joint board meeting. So you would say Planning and Land Use Committee / joint board meeting.
And that's how you do it. That's what.
Yeah, but if you have 4 or fewer board members on your committee, you do not need to do that designation. If you have 5 or more, you need to do the designation in the how you name the meeting.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Nick, you have your hand raised?
I do. There's a couple of things that came up this week that I really think we need to bring our attention to. Number one thing, the Crenshaw Mall was not allowed to be purchased by a Black community group that made the highest bid. And as a bunch of white people sitting in a rich neighborhood, we need to support them. And I think we need to issue a community impact statement or something like that, because we were sitting here talking about a golf course in Harvard Westlake, and it's such a joke compared to what they're really dealing with down there. And things like this are just disgusting. And it's racism on, I just want to write a community impact statement, and I hope we can all get behind it. I'll put it together this week. But I believe that we need to support them and support Black entrepreneurship and ownership of property. And this is the basic beginning of it. And there's all kinds of stuff in the LA Times. If you're not familiar with it, I encourage you to get familiar with it. And this is the kind of stuff that 2020 was about. This is what BLM was about. This is what all of that was about, to me anyway. And I hope you join me with that. Another thing I had a conversation with Lisa at Nithya Raman's folks. And listen, if a homeless person wants help, they're the people to do it. But these people, I said, what are you doing about service resistant homeless? And this human sat there and told me in the middle of this conversation, says to me, I take exception to that term, and then tried to give me the Yale answer for, we don't have a plan for that. And it's very concerning to me because if you're not going to define the problem and then take offense at it because it's not politically correct enough for you, I don't know what's going on. So I just had that conversation. If you want to know more about it, anybody on the board who's interested in homelessness, I encourage you to, I'll unpack more of it for you. But I think we have a real problem here. And I think that they need to hear what that is. And maybe we need to do another CIS in defining what a service resistant homeless person is to our neighborhood councilwoman, because I don't think she knows. And that's a big problem when I can't walk underneath the 101 because of her inaction. So
Nick, just a point of clarification, you said Lisa in Nithia's office. I think you mean Liz O.
Liz, I do mean Liz O. I do mean Liz O.
Because she's the director or she's the homeless outreach coordinator.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I will start this ad hoc committee. I just am so busy with everything and I've got my own stuff, but I will start that, you know, either the end of this month or the beginning of next month, and we'll address all this kind of stuff. But, you know, all of this stuff, the Board of Supervisors had almost a $2 billion facility, 4,000 bed facility ready to go. And they didn't do it. And these are the kind of things that happen underneath our noses that we have got to be a part of, these decisions.
That's what the homeless committees.
Yeah. So that's what, so yeah, well, I'll go with all that and you know, I'll update there. So
yeah, we're going to move on. Thank
yeah.
you. Okay, Catherine.
Yeah, I wanted to actually sort of jump back to the question of the youth board member. And, you know, I know we had 2 young men speak this evening. I think you mentioned there was a 3rd person who is interested. Can we just set an official deadline for anyone who's interested to submit their candidacy and state it publicly? You know, is the end of this month enough time so that people can submit a candidate statement to us and, you know, then they can have a minute at the next meeting to introduce themselves?
It's fine, sure.
To vote?
I just didn't get much interest, but if it's so, if you guys really want that, that's fine. I'll say the deadline. What would make you feel comfortable, Catherine or Tess? What would make you guys feel comfortable?
I would appreciate a week before the next board meeting. That way we have a couple of days to get, you know, names on the agenda to Robin, or just let her know. Does that sound reasonable, Catherine?
I might say a week before the executive meeting, because I don't know exactly, Colby, how it's going to work, if people are going to be introducing themselves at the executive meeting and you'll select someone that then as a board will vote to confirm, or if we'll be voting between the candidates at the general meeting. Because in the past, we've always had the president select someone and the board confirms.
Yeah, the way the bylaws work is that I select I make the nomination, and then the general board votes on it. That's how it works. There's no deadline per se at all. I select the candidate, and then the board votes. However, if everybody really wants to extend this, it'll delay it. But you know what? I'm gonna make the executive decision and just go ahead with what the bylaws say. Because I want to get someone on this board soon, and it's just gonna delay another month or two. What's gonna happen?
So why don't we say by a week before exec, so that you have time you have 2 weeks basically from the candidacy close to the general meeting.
That sounds fine, but we still go by the bylaws. But
Can I ask a quick question about that? You know, Colby mentioned, and maybe I'm wrong, Colby mentioned that we had this youth board seat at our last meeting in July. And, you know, everybody had the opportunity to reach out to whoever they needed to reach out to, and he got 2, maybe 3 candidates. 2 of them spoke tonight. Everybody had the same opportunity, just like everybody has every opportunity to send me their bio for the newsletter. And I only heard from one person, FYI. So, you know, I know everyone's busy, and that's why we sort of reach out, and hopefully you'll look back and see your email and go, oh yeah, I forgot to do that. But we do want to see a youth board seat filled by our next meeting. We have to vote on it, and hopefully that person will join our next board meeting. And I'd hate to see another month go by. So
yeah, no, and I agree with that. I think the only difference is we didn't give anyone a deadline.
Exactly.
At any point. So I
No
think if we just
deadline.
set a deadline, we put it in the newsletter, we make sure people know you have to submit by this date. You can set it for the end of this month, 2 weeks from tonight. You can set it for 3 weeks from tonight. Just we need to make it clear to the public.
Anybody
deadline.
have somebody in particular that they are looking to hear, to be considered? Do you actually have somebody to be considered? Tess, do you?
I have a message into the person who run Roxanne at the YMCA Youth Government program.
And
So,
when did you contact her and have
several weeks ago.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm not stalling or dilly-dallying, but we need to be given a deadline if you want something to happen. So I'll reach out to her again. She's part-time and a little difficult to reach because of COVID, but I would like to have, and maybe she'll produce nobody, but we'd at least like to give them the opportunity. I mean, that's fair.
Okay, well, Tess, can you reach out to her tomorrow and see if you can hear back from her in the next few days and say that we would like to consider somebody within, what is today? Today's Tuesday, by the end of the week. If she has somebody in mind, can she please reach out to Colby so that he has the name by the end of the week?
Okay,
And
so
that way we know if somebody else is interested.
okay, so then I will do that not tomorrow, but tonight. Okay.
Great. That's
And
great.
so our deadline to submit candidates, are we saying it is Friday, August 20th?
Sure. By the end of the week, by Friday. Yeah.
Catherine, is that okay with you, or do you need more time?
I think that's fine. I don't have an issue. I think we just need to set it publicly. And Robin, can we include that in the newsletter?
Include what?
That the deadline, if you have an interest in being a youth board member, submit it no later than the
It'll be in
20th.
Thursday's newsletter. Yep, you got it.
Well, that
Thank
gives
you.
People exactly one day, but okay.
We're moving forward. All right, Fred or Sean, is this about youth board member or is this something new?
This is something new, just really quick housekeeping, if you don't mind. This has to do with my email. Rand's particular, the last time you sent an email to the Planning Use Committee, you had my name misspelled. You had IBARR. I just want to make sure everyone knows it's
No, he had an O in the GTLNC.
I have it. It's IBARRI is what it says. I can forward it to you. But anyway, I just want to make sure it's IBERI because I've sent you 2 emails. I haven't got any response. I just want to make sure you're getting my email and you have my right address to send me back. That's all. Thank you.
Yeah, I apologize. I do now have your right address, so I apologize for all of that.
Yeah, no, I just was concerned. I just want to make sure that tonight was the good time I could see you. So thank you. I just want to make sure.
Hi, Sean.
Real quick, I actually reached out to North Hollywood High to find out if they had any, students that they would be interested that are in our area. The only problem was that there was nobody in school yet. They don't know. They had to kind of wait and see who or what kind of, or who were actually going to attend school. And they kind of needed school to start. So that's one of the reasons why I haven't been able to produce, but I had intended to see about getting someone in. So that's one of the reasons why it's a little delayed on my end.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that concludes new business. And with that, it's 10:24 and I'm concluding the meeting. Our next meeting is Tuesday, September 21st, 2021. Thank you, everybody, for your patience and your stamina. It was a growing meeting. And we thank you very much. It was.
Thank you to everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye. See you next month.